Hey, Nick.
Hey, buddy.
What's happening?
Oh, not much. Just doing my thing.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode number 131 of Nick Tys and Videotape, ladies and gentlemen.
Is that a lot? That seems a lot.
I think that's a reasonable amount.
It's a reasonable amount.
I feel like, based on what I've seen in the iTunes store or Apple
sure.
Podcasts,
Yeah.
that most podcasts make it to about 20 and then
they
fall
kind
off
of
the face of the earth.
Yeah.
So we're doing all right,
We're
I think.
doing well. I like it. I like it.
We're very excited today because we're talking about a very interesting movie from way back when, 2003.
2003.
We are talking about The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Nicholas.
Or LXG.
Oh, yeah.
There were so many posters for that. I was
because,
we're
all about abbreviations.
Clearly.
And joining us today, we have a very special guest,
We
Nick.
do.
Do you want to introduce our guest for us?
This is the up-and-coming actor, Mr. RHYSS LEE. How are you, RHYSS?
Hello, yeah, I'm good. Thank you for having me on, guys.
No, welcome to the show, RHYSS. We're very happy to have you here.
I like it. And I like that it was actually RHYSS's pick for League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And
very good.
He loves this movie.
Yes.
Well, we're going to get into that.
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
We will obviously be getting to that very shortly.
We'll get to that.
Before we do anything, though, Nick, why don't you tell the people where they can find our show?
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, thanks for joining in, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nick. This is Tyson, and we do have RHYSS with us, which is great. Hey, RHYSS, how you going over there?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
How's the couch, buddy?
Yeah, it's really comfy.
Oh, good. But yes, if you do like our podcast, ladies and gentlemen, please do like, subscribe, share, rate, review, all of those things. If you could do that on Apple Podcasts, that'd be great, because that's where we see the best. I've got nothing.
It's where stuff happens.
It's where stuff happens.
Make it happen.
Yeah, but other than that, we are on all the socials, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We do have a Gmail account, which is nicktyson.videotape@gmail.com. And Tys and myself are big fans of the LETTERBOXD app. So
Yes,
if you
we are
on that app and you do wish to see what Tys and myself are watching other than League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and what we rated it, jump on that app. You can follow Tyson at TYS_videotape and I am NIC_videotape.
RHYSS, you on this thing?
RHYSS, Letterboxd?
No, Letterboxd?
Letterboxd?
No, I'm not. I think you recommended it to me at one point,
Yeah,
so I
man.
should probably try it. But I am scared to see what you guys rated.
It's all
epic
good.
film.
It's all good.
It's a good film, man.
It's an epic film. I have big memories of this film.
I have huge memories of this
Yeah.
film. I was very excited about this movie when it was coming
When
out.
the trailer came out?
Yeah.
Huge.
I
It
was
was massive.
all about it.
Yeah, man. Especially coming off the back of Sean Connery doing because I was mad into The Rock at that point.
Yeah.
So coming off the back of that was huge, but we'll talk about it.
We will.
Yeah.
Before we do our regularly scheduled segment, we do like to have a little chat with our recently added guest.
Yeah.
So, RHYSS, why don't you tell us a little bit? We always kind of ask this question of our new guests. Is like,
I like this
we
question.
obviously have a strong affinity for movies, and it's been built up over many years. Otherwise, we wouldn't be spending our time doing something like this.
Yeah.
So we always like to ask our guests, what was the thing that made you fall in love with movies and carry it through to this day?
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, thank you for having me on.
It's an absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of your podcast. It's good. I think for me, with movies and film, I think I obviously grew up I grew up moving around quite a bit, and I didn't have any siblings for pretty much 8 years. So most of the time I spent playing with a lot of the toys that my parents got me, spending a lot of time in my room just sort of making up imaginary stories and creating scenarios. And I remember having I would put toys together that never made any sense because my parents would just buy toys that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I would never get full collections of toys. And I remember having this tiny little porcelain cat that I would play with, and I would try to stuff it into a convertible, and that would be my story. So that was pretty much my childhood for 8 years until my brother came along. But I think from that it sort of stemmed into the imagination side of things, and I got really creative with how I created these stories. And I used to sort of escape. So when I was younger, my mum and my dad would allow the weekends to be the time where I could stay up past 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock.
How good was that?
Good times.
How good was that?
And that was during the time of this was pre I'd say maybe early 2000s, so around 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
And I'd stay up, and that would be Cartoon Network.
Sorry, I'm just letting that wash over me for a
Tyson's going to
second.
laugh at that. Tyson's going to laugh at that because we're old men compared to RHYSS.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit younger.
Yeah,
but,
that's fine.
I think I was probably about 7 or 8 around that time. And when obviously at that age, when you get your parents saying, okay, you can stay up past 9 p.m, I was on it. So I would sit in my kitchen because it was joined to my living room, sit in my kitchen, get my snacks, get all prepared, and I'd stay up past 12. And if anyone remembers Cartoon Network back in the day, on Australian TV would be like you'd go up to about 12 a.m.
Yeah.
and then it would just be reruns of these really old black and white shows.
All right, cool.
Yeah, it was super
Right.
weird. But like I'd be excited to still sit up and watch it. But then I'd be flicking through cable and looking at like Star Trek and things like that. So I think for me that was like the memorable time of it, where I sort of just sat by myself, no distractions, and then just had all of these like this information basically come into my brain.
Nice.
So that's where that stemmed from.
That's awesome, man.
love
So,
Star
all right, so that's some weird questions then.
Oh, sure.
Because I'm thinking about the movies that I was watching in the early 2000s.
But this is the thing. So you're saying, like, sorry to jump in.
No,
so
go
this is one of your childhood movies? Watching?
It
watching,
is.
Yeah,
this is a
right.
childhood
Yes.
movie.
How good is that?
And that blows my
intense.
mind, man. So what about like something like just as like the benchmark of like a movie that I think every man and his dog saw in 1999 when you would have been what, like?
Oh, I would have been like year one. I would have been like a
Year
baby.
1, year
Yeah,
7?
right.
So 13, 14?
No,
Oh, no,
not-
year 1.
year one,
Year
bro.
1, like grade 1.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
So did you go see The Matrix?
Oh, hell yes.
Yeah, nice.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
So,
Alright.
yeah, I'm a big fan of The Matrix.
Huge.
As you can see, I'm rocking the modern John Wick look.
Modern John Wick.
But yeah, no, big fan of The Matrix. I think that was also another sort of milestone film for me. Watching, I think I got really obsessed with sort of like visual effects type films.
Sure.
And at the time, obviously, you're young, or in your case, a teenager. I don't know how old you guys are, but
It's not important.
but you would see like these films and they would do things that you've never seen on TV or in film before. And obviously I grew up watching a lot of like cartoons, so that's where a lot of my humor and my comedic side would come from. But then you would sit down and you'd watch movies that are like Star Trek, or you'd watch movies that are like like The Matrix and things like that would just go into space and digitalize the people that are involved.
Yeah,
and
right.
Super crazy. Like I
The
think
special effects were mad back then. It was big. You got a lot of special effects movies were just for the effects.
Yeah.
There was barely any storyline sort of thing.
yeah, exactly.
And so those were the type of movies that were prime for your watching. In
I think so, yeah. And I think it was because as you're young, like when you're young, you don't really. You just like seeing things happen and cool things happen. So obviously, like so a little bit, like tiny little backstory about me, but my mum's Filipino, and most Filipinos in that time were obsessed with all the action films. So I grew up watching, Steven Seagal, Jean-Claude Van Damme, like all of that,
Tys, he's a man of your flavour.
Oh,
There you
man,
go.
you know
So those were my films, and I remember like one of the other big major films that I started watching was Under Siege 2.
Oh, yeah.
Without even realizing there was an Under Siege 1.
Dark Territory.
I know. I was watching that, and that was some intense filming. Like,
Is that the byline? Is that the thing in it?
Yeah.
Oh, is it really?
yeah.
I have not.
it's
I've
great.
seen Under Siege 2 maybe once.
Yeah.
I think.
I've seen it once.
You've seen it
Eric
once?
Bogosian is the bad guy.
Oh,
He's not. He
yes.
shouldn't be anywhere near
Yeah.
a movie like that.
Oh, come on. He's badass, no?
He's alright.
That's why they showed like some real insane touch typing too, where they had to get like the two people to type it at the exact same time.
Oh, yeah, right.
And then the guy was like, "Well, I've got the codes now, so I'll just," and he just did
And he
it by
did it.
himself.
Huge.
But yeah, like so I guess that sort of era of like action films really led me into watching films like The Matrix and stuff, where obviously there's a lot of action in that, but then you see them do things that you've never seen before, and you're just like, this is nuts. So obviously leading into the film of today, that took it to another level for me, I guess.
Cool.
That's wild, man. And it's really exciting actually to have somebody on talking about this movie that probably saw it through the eyes of what the intended audience was. Like, I think that kind of real excitement, kind of big visual pizzazz kind of style, where it was just obviously a really kind of overwhelming experience. So that's going to be a really interesting kind of take on this.
I like it.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, huge.
Before we get to any of that, though,
Sure.
we've got our regular segment that starts us off.
Which is
What is it? Talking trailers.
talking trailers. Why did you pause?
I don't know, man. Fuck. Let's just play the thing.
Talking trailers.
Everybody's talking
Trailers. Okay.
And we're back.
And we're back.
So we've all gathered. Three of us watched a couple of trailers.
We did.
We decided not to talk about a few of them.
Because, yep.
We're just going to mention in passing.
You're going to mention them.
Well, I think we're going to mention
you
it.
should. I think you should.
Like we're for some god awful reason we're getting another Crocodile Dundee movie.
It's called The Very Excellent Mr. Dundee. and that's fun.
Interesting.
That trailer was
It's interesting.
bad.
Jesus Christ.
It's interesting.
And so
I
we're
don't
just.
know.
I think
it was prime. Like when we were watching it, it's probably the funniest thing. One of the funniest things that you've ever said off air. I think
Yeah,
was
true.
literally midway through the trailer. Tyson just goes, "We're not reviewing this at all."
Yeah.
And I lost it. But all of us, we kind of know the type of films that Australia does put out. Not to bag Australia completely, because they do, there is some diamonds in the rough there. A few of them.
A few.
Very few. But, it is very quintessential Australian movie. It's almost like, I don't watch television. What is the Channel 10 panel show that used to be a thing?
The Project?
The Project. It looks like they have made this movie.
True.
To me.
Yeah.
Is that wrong?
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, let's not give it too much oxygen, but I don't like it. It just looks awful, and I thought maybe because even the poster is really terribly photoshopped, and I was like, oh yeah, look, it's a slapped together job. But this movie is like, it looks like it's filmed entirely on a green screen.
Yeah.
Like even when they're just in cars, I'm like, I can see that you're nowhere near a real location at all.
And it's just they've got just all these. They've got quite a few good celebrities on there.
Yeah, but that was probably just whoever was around at the time. John Cleese, wasn't he here like a couple of months ago? They probably grabbed him for a day and said,
"Hey man, do you mind?" He's like, "Yeah, how much you paying me?"
Yeah. Do you remember Paul Hogan?
No, who the fuck is that?
How much am I getting paid for this?
Yeah.
I think like something that's interesting though, and going to like what you were saying before, Nick, about like the Australian cinema and how Australians make films and things like that.
Yeah,
it's true. There are definitely diamonds in the rough, but I think these days what you sort of see in Hollywood and just in general is that people will take a name that's very popular, that's very familiar. For example, you've got things like the Chucky franchise, or like you've got even the Saw franchise with like Jigsaw coming out soon. And it's things like that. Oh, sorry, not Jigsaw. Jigsaw just came out. It was the new one that's coming out.
Yeah, with Chris Rock.
Spiral.
Yeah.
That's one.
So that like, where they take that name and they sort of slap it on whatever it is, and that's what puts people's like butts in seats, I think.
Yeah.
But then you go and you're disappointed.
Is this like the only Australian thing that we can catch on?
Maybe.
It's like the only thing that we've got that has a lasting
really
kind of influence.
Sad.
It's
sad.
Do you know what I want to see? I want to see like,
what do you want to say?
Reckless Kelly 2.
Oh shit!
Nice.
No one's waking up Yahoo
from the
Serious, man.
Waking up.
My God.
No one's waking him up.
So good.
From his 30-year sleep that he's in.
Mr. Accident.
Exactly.
Classic.
We tried it already. We did try it already.
Classic.
I forgot we tried to make Yahoo Serious a thing again.
Oh, I'm going to watch. Hey, I stand by Young Einstein.
Young Einstein,
I remember that being really fun.
I used to like it a lot.
Yeah, same. I haven't watched it in a very long
It's got
time.
at least 25 years since I've seen it. I'm sure of it.
I remember I went to when Warner Brothers Movie World was first a thing in Queensland.
Yeah.
And we went, and they had the Young Einstein set there.
Very cool.
And when you walked down it, because it was tilted to one side, you had to lean on one thing. It was a really big deal. And I was like, and I remember because I knew the movie backwards, I was like, this is in the movie for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, right.
This is so boring. And I threw a lot of questions at the tour guide, which she had no fucking idea.
Hey, man, I just work here. Fuck.
And I was like, well, if you're going to do a tour, maybe know a bit about the movie that you're touring. And she was like, okay, maybe you should. I was like 14.
Yeah,
I
think kids, you become pretty savage when you're a kid. Like you look at adults, and then you're an adult, and then you realize why you were savage as a kid. Yeah. You're like, oh my God, I actually don't know a lot about this topic, and this kid is schooling me right now.
Exactly.
And I think it's very interesting,
That's
but
so cool.
that's a bit before my time, I think.
So you want to see Yahoo Serious do his thing?
Well,
what else is there? What else have we got? Something else? No, we've given it
that's
too
all we
much
got,
already.
man. What else have we got? I'm dead set. Like, what other
Iconic Australian,
like internationally known?
Like people that have had like some kind of cultural relevance in cinema.
Oh.
That did maybe, the way that Crocodile Dundee and Yahoo Serious have kind of done their 2, 3, 4 movies.
True.
We don't have anything else like that.
Well, we did. He's passed away, unfortunately, but we did have what's his name's movie. Oh, Jesus Christ.
His lasting legacy.
His lasting legacy. Clearly, I wasn't a big fan of him. I just think he did bad for Australia. His
What films were there?
Oh God, I don't remember his name.
Oh,
that's awful.
Well,
that's
you're kind of proving our point, to be honest.
Exactly,
Nick, so
exactly.
I think it's okay.
Who was the crikey guy?
Crikey guy, Steve Owen.
Steve Owen.
Oh my
Steve
God.
Owen. Fucking. That's who I'm talking about.
Sure. He didn't make movies, though, did he?
He made one. Remember, it was one.
True.
He brought out one movie.
Right.
Yeah, and it was It looked like exactly what this was.
Sure.
Doing. Yeah.
We've
Given this too much oxygen.
Yeah.
I think we have.
Yeah.
Shall we move on?
Moving on.
Please
So let's
do.
talk about actually what we're going to talk about, one of the trailers. Let's talk about Jungle Cruise.
Jungle Cruise.
So what are you doing out here?
There is a legend in the jungles of the Amazon of a tree that heals all. It could change the world. But if it gets into the wrong hands, it could awaken a great evil. I believe that the legend is real.
Which it's not.
And I'm going to find it.
Which you won't.
And when I do, just imagine the lives that could be saved.
I've been looking for this tree longer than anybody. I've tracked the legend to every village, every island. Nothing. You're searching for something that can't be found.
But you've never had the key.
Let's do something that's safe. Let's go see some elephants.
There are no elephants in the Amazon, and I don't even like elephants.
Lady, everybody likes elephants. Know this about the jungle. Everything that you see wants to kill you, and can. Careful. They can smell fear.
I am not afraid. Oh my gosh.
Who brings a submarine to the Amazon?
Feuer!
Right.
Good night. I got you.
Frank, get it.
Hold on.
Come on.
I got it.
Frank.
I don't got it.
No. For goodness sake, just leave me alone. That was a disaster.
Didn't go the way I planned.
And that, Reese, is where we put the trailer.
That's where it happens. Yeah,
man.
I figured.
Magic.
Reese was waiting for the trailer to
Magic
pop up
in it.
randomly.
I know.
He's like, oh my God!
I was like, it's not like it is on the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed.
And we play it, and we just hold our microphone near the television speaker.
Totally do.
Real classy unit. So we have Jungle Cruise here. We've got The Rock and
Jungle
Emily Blunt.
Cruise.
Nick, are you currently looking this up for me?
I am.
Who directed this thing?
2 seconds.
All right. Well, while you look that
Talk
up,
amongst yourself.
I'm just
Reese, what do you
gonna
got?
put my hat in the ring here and say
Yeah,
that
do it.
I am a fan of The Rock.
Who isn't?
I mean, what's not to like
I
about The
know,
Rock?
and I feel like he is. I guess ever since Scorpion King, which, by the way,
Oh.
speaking of CGI from earlier, worst CGI
It's so
I've
good.
ever seen.
It's great, isn't
Worst, but so good.
In the
Like-
in the Mummy Returns.
In the
yeah?
Moment Returns.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I like the movie The Scorpion King. I
do
know.
you
I think
really?
I'm in the
Oh yeah,
minority.
it's actually really good. I like it as well.
Yeah, I think it's really fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think you're both quite warped.
It's
Oh,
like
wow.
it's like a old school adventure movie.
We're warped. Wow. Okay. Well, this is the thing. I think it's good because, okay, so I watched because I'm pretty sure it came out after The Mummy.
The Scorpion King.
Yeah,
It did.
So you watch The Mummy and you obviously get like Brendan Fraser and you do all of that.
Mummy Returns, man. I'll back that movie. That was a good movie.
It was a good movie.
CGI
it's
was
got some good
shit.
stuff in it.
CGI was
Yeah.
shit, but yeah, it was good.
Some of it's fun.
We
Yeah.
haven't seen that guy in forever, by the way. But
Brendan Fraser.
Yeah,
the
because
fact that,
things happened to him.
things
But yeah,
terrible
we'll move
things.
on. We'll move
but I
on.
think the Scorpion King coming out was sort of like a different take. It's like almost like it was a spin-off obviously,
Yeah,
but it was
yeah.
it was good to see sort of Egypt and that whole mystic life in a different light.
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
wasn't
Right.
just a guy running from mummies and zombies and having scarabs run up his arm and
Oh,
stuff. So.
Yeah.
that was my favorite bit.
That was gross.
I love that.
Oh, they love it too,
I
don't you?
freaked out.
'Cause
I can't-
they show it many times.
Yes.
I can't pronounce his name, Tyson.
Okay.
Jameer Colette Sierra.
Oh, do you know who that is?
Who's that?
Remember the other week we were talking about random Eastern European action film directors?
Oh shit, that's him.
He's one of them.
Non-stop.
Yeah.
The Commuter. Unknown.
Commuter. Fuck The
Jesus
Commuter.
Christ, these are all Liam Neeson movies
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
just mentioned.
Hell yeah.
Did
Run
he also
All
do Run All
Night.
Night?
Oh.
Run All Night is a good fucking movie.
Run All
I
Night.
really liked Run
How
All
did he
Night.
do-
It's
okay.
the only one of those that I've liked.
Jesus Christ.
Did
You've
he
watched
do
all them?
Yeah.
You've watched all them?
He did he do the one on the plane as well? Is that
No.
non-stop?
Yeah, Non-Stop. I said that. That was the first one. I said.
Unknown? Did he do Unknown?
I just said, are you listening to what
No,
I'm talking
I'm not.
about?
I'm
Can you hear
clearly
me in
not
your
listening.
fucking head? I said Non-Stop, The Commuter, Unknown, and then Run All Night.
And what did he do
And they
before the
all
Liam Neeson
star
stuff?
Liam Neeson. He did Orphan,
That's it.
House of Wax with
yes.
remember House of Wax?
Oh, right.
And
How does this guy get a Disney gig?
I know, right? And
Try
Right.
something new.
Yeah.
The Shallows
Wow.
Oh,
surfing movie? No,
the one with
Shark.
Blake Lively.
Blake Lively.
Yeah, the shark one.
Is it
I-
a shark?
Yeah,
it's a
that was
shark.
good.
Yeah. And then
Interesting.
the newest one, Jungle Cruise,
So
which we're talking about now. This is this looks good. This literally looks like though that they've made a theme park ride into a movie. Like I know
Legit.
that Pirates of the Caribbean is a theme park ride, but this literally looks like you're going on that ride.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like
It's like a little tugboat that you just cruise on.
exactly. You're cruising on, and all these
And
things
everything's
are
happening.
attacking you. Look. I'm going to watch this. It looks fun.
it looks really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of okay with that. Like I know that everyone kind of thinks it's kind of
It's a cash grab.
It's kind of bankrupt to just kind of try and make a ride or a board game into a movie. But when you think about it, like, what's not to love about that? Like, if you can build a strong enough bad guy and a bit of a quest to go on.
And you got the Rockin there and Emily Blunt.
That's it. I think if you got the charming people,
well, that's why I guess like the Marvel films are so successful, because they've turned what's on paper into, I guess you could say, in quote, air quote, reality. And like everyone's enjoying those films. They've obviously hit number one now. And I think being able to make, and what you were saying back to your point, Tys, before about how like this was like sort of my childhood growing up seeing like these types of films, and then obviously when you get older and you become an adult and you sort of like do, and life carries on, to see comics or to see toys or characters or games be turned into live action films and also have good CGI, emphasis on the good CGI. Then you sort of like relive your childhood.
Yeah, man.
I back Mummy Returns. That's CGI. You know, it stands up.
No one's against you here. Like, you've said that like twice, and no one's against you.
Can I say it one more time?
Yeah,
there's only really one. Although there is one shot, and someone pointed up the other day, and I can't remember what I was watching.
Have you seen it? It's when he comes out as the Scorpion.
No. Yeah, that's garbage. That's absolute garbage.
He looks awful.
No. Someone was talking about another shot, and I'm going to try and find a way to show people this shot, because just the way, like, it's when the Scorpion King gets stabbed.
Yeah.
And the camera, like, just freezes because they obviously didn't know where in the frame the Scorpion King was going to be.
Yeah.
So, and
doesn't he rear back and something?
No, he awkwardly just kind of stays there still. And then Arnold Vosloo as the mummy just runs into frame to do his no.
Yeah.
And you can see that they just had to do it that way because they couldn't. They had no modeling idea. They didn't know they were like, and also we don't want to change shots because it's going to be too expensive. And if it's like we have to remodel another. So he literally just kind of goes dun, 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 into frame.
Wow.
And it was fucking hilarious. And I've got to figure out a way to share that with people.
Maybe there's a GIF or something.
Yeah, a GIF. I love a good GIF.
I am going to watch Mummy Returns now.
Is that what you've taken from watching Jungle Cruise? Is that you want to watch Mummy Returns again?
Just number 2.
Either that or Welcome to the Jungle. Huh?
Just number 2. Mummy Returns.
Yeah, man.
That's number 2.
I mean, if you're anything like me, you've seen The Mummy like 40,000 times.
That's true.
And seen Mummy Returns like twice.
It's not a repeat. No, I watched Mummy Returns more because of the Rock.
Way.
Yeah, I'm a big
He's
Rock
in like
fan.
the first minute and then the end.
100%.
The Rock is great.
It's worth it.
Yeah, only because for those of you playing the home game, I was a big wrestling fan.
You were.
So I knew him back from when. So when people came out and the trailer, I can even remember the trailer and The Rock as the Scorpion King.
Yeah.
And, it was huge. It was I was like, oh my God, The Rock is in a movie. And then everyone jumped on board and then all of a sudden it was a switch. And now The Rock is named Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah,
Dwayne
Johnson.
And now he's in every movie.
And now he's in every movie.
Yeah. Dwayne Johnson stars as, and then it's like
exactly
the tugboat in Jungle
He
Cruise.
is the tugboat.
Pacifier.
That's true.
That was Vin Diesel.
That was Vin Diesel?
Yeah.
Damn.
The Rock's actually...
The wrong bald guy.
Hasn't he... No, Rock did the Tooth Fairy.
Tooth Fairy. I was fucking close.
It's the
same cover.
Has The Rock avoided, like, the bad kitty film? No, he has
What was that movie that he was in with Mark Wahlberg where he was, like, super jacked? I forgot what that one was. I think it was, like, the most jacked he's ever been in a movie.
Pain and Gain.
That's it.
Yeah, that's not a good movie.
It's... God, I wanted it to be good.
Yeah.
I really wanted that movie to be good.
Yeah.
But Michael Bay, man, you're a crazy
Michael
bastard.
Bay. Yeah. Well, funny fact on Michael Bay. Recently he did an interview because of his new film that's coming out. And he actually mentioned that he wants to use Australia for his next film.
Ooh.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Because as an actor, I'm like, get me in on some of that explosion action.
I know.
I'm ready for that.
So, man, you get to see the master at work.
Yeah. I'll be like, you were in all the Transformers films. That's where I know you from.
He was behind the camera, but yeah, I know you from the
That's
Transformers.
where I know
shows.
you from.
That's so gold.
Yeah, but this looks like a lot of fun. The CGI kind of looks a bit not great from the trailers, but it's early days, so we'll give it a pass.
Exactly.
For some reason, I don't know why, but I thought this was kind of like the a play on like the African Queen, that movie with Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn.
Yeah.
For some reason, I just kind of thought this had something to do with that.
Okay.
It clearly doesn't. No. I think I might have just seen a picture of the two of them on a boat and thought Langston was like, oh, maybe it's like a remake of that.
Out of Africa.
Was the poster bad on that one as well? Or did you see the poster on
the African Queen?
Yeah, or on this one?
Jungle Cruise.
I haven't posted for this.
Oh, okay.
No. I don't know if it's...
It's not too bad. It's like a Jumanji type poster. That's fine.
So, this is all coming together very strangely because I enjoyed that trailer. Mm-hmm. This is not the director I thought at all for something like this.
Right.
It's like I don't see where they're going to draw any kind of actual characters from because it looks like they've just kind of... We need a bad guy, so let's make like a kind of like a Davy Jones Locker from Second Pirates thing except with snakes.
Exactly. The snake was coming out of his face.
Yeah.
This is a kids' movie, is it not?
Yeah, but so I think Pirates of the Caribbean was aimed at like a kids market as well, and that's kind of
skeletons.
Disney's kind of sort of pushing the boundaries a little bit. They're slowly creeping into territory where it's a little freaky for kids. That's because the audience is also getting older as well. So,
they've always been good at that.
That's true.
They've always been good at building that kind of that. Hey, we want to make a movie for like teenagers, so that it's edgy enough that they don't feel like they're watching a baby movie.
That's true.
But it's also not going to, give them nightmares for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of keen.
You keen?
Well, I'll wait and see.
What is it called again?
Jungle Cruise.
It feels like a weird
Jungle Boat.
It feels like a.
I just thought tugboat the whole time.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a weird title. Is it not a weird title? Is it like it's too much of a throwaway title?
Yeah, because somebody in a room at Disney looked through their list of amusement parks and tried to pitch a movie out of all of them, and that's the one that worked.
What about the Jungle Cruise ride? We got the Jungle Cruise ride. Anyone for that? I'm thinking the Ferris wheel.
The Ferris wheel.
Does he even work here anymore?
That's true. What about the roller coaster? Roller rider.
I like what he's saying. Can we go on that?
Let's go with that one.
Let's go with that.
It's like that meme, the one where they're like in that office building, and then like everyone has a like real bad suggestion, and then the one guy's like, "I've got an actual good suggestion," and they throw him out the window. It's a good meme.
Good meme.
Check it out.
Yeah, office life, isn't it? We're all about that. We're all about that office life. Yeah,
I hate that office life.
Yeah.
And as per usual, our discussion of the movie has been thorough and in depth.
Exactly.
I say we move on.
So we move on.
Next one.
What was it?
The Greyhound. Or just the Greyhound?
I think it's just Greyhound.
It's just Greyhound.
Yes, like the bus. Greyhound bus.
Dear Lord, let your holy angel be with me, that the evil foe may have no power over me. Into your hands I commend myself, my body, and soul. Amen.
Congratulations on your command.
I'll always be looking for you, Evie, even if I'm 1,000 miles away.
Air escort to Greyhound. You will now be out of range of air cover for the next 5 days. Safe travels to England. How many crossings does this make?
This was my first.
I got some.
Most likely a U-boat.
He's trying to slip under us! Fire!
We have a kill.
Distress rocket, sir.
We have hits directly on the convoy.
The Wolfbag's hunting us.
U-boat starboard bound!
In 48 hours, we've lost 7 ships. 50 souls.
What you did yesterday got us to today.
It's not enough. Not nearly enough.
Fire as they bear! Target's disappeared, sir.
Here they come.
What are we gonna do?
We'll bring hell down from on high.
Greyhound bus.
Greatest. That's all the lead-in we need.
Exactly. Tom Hanks. Who doesn't love him? No one doesn't love him.
All right, we're just going to have a moment for Tom Hanks because this is going to age this episode terribly. But,
It is, but
Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson have been diagnosed with the coronavirus.
That's right.
They caught it while they were in Australia. Apparently,
in Australia.
I'm ashamed of ourselves.
Wow.
Well, if you're going to give coronavirus to someone, give it to Rebel Wilson. Is it Rebel Wilson?
Did you say Rebel Wilson? Well, there's the
Tom
thing.
Hanks and his lovely wife,
Yeah.
Rebel Wilson.
Rebel Wilson.
Give it to the Aussies, the Aussie
Exactly.
actors. But I think it's good that, like if you're going to give it, like what you're saying, if you're going to give it to anyone,
Give it
Tom
to Tom Hanks.
can handle it. He was on an island
exactly.
for 5 years.
This guy knows
I mean,
what I'm talking about. This is the guy
I
we're
did
talking
forget
about.
that.
Come on.
I did forget he's had experience with hard situations.
Exactly. He knows
Captain
what he's talking
Phillips.
about.
Captain Phillips.
I mean, like, he got through that.
He got through that. He got through, Big, because that was an adventure.
Yeah. Yeah. He
Everyone
kept
loves that
running.
movie.
Let's not forget how much he ran.
In Forrest
Very
Gump.
fit guy.
There's a really inappropriate gag about surviving AIDS somewhere in here,
Whoa!
but I'm just going to skate right
We're going to
past that
skate
one.
right past that. All right. Well, this trailer actually looks legit. I would actually really like to see this movie.
Me too.
It looks
So
great.
he's off. I love how inspired by true events is always a thing.
That grabs
I feel like
me.
Does it?
It does.
I feel like it's just a cash grab. It's like, oh, this could be true events, or we could take one boat, the name of that boat, use it in a movie, and hey, guess what? We got a true story.
Well, the thing is, I think that's why they say based on inspired by actual events, and
but does that grab you?
It does. I think.
Really?
Well, this is the thing. Like you have
You're like, oh, I'm in this movie. It could have happened.
Well,
to me.
think of it this way, right? If you think of like a horror film, for example, right? Because it's harder to picture when it's like a film like this. But if you think of like a horror film and you see like heads being like cut off, like The Conjuring, for example, right? You see The Conjuring, you see what happens in that movie, and then all of a sudden it's like inspired by true events, and you're like, oh damn, this shit just got real. And I think it's the same for this. Like if you ever see a film that's a war film, 1917, very good film, and they say,
favorite?
Have you seen?
It was a good one. I like it.
Yeah,
you just like the film? No,
it was good.
It was good. But like, it's like a film like that where it's like you just see it and you're just like, it's like, oh well, this is based on a true story or inspired by true events. You're like, oh, okay, it's a little bit more incentive to give you my money. I think.
Really?
For me, anyway. That's
I like
how
it.
I feel it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in a similar boat. Only for certain kinds of movies. Like
I'm on board for the horror one. The horror one, if that's inspired by true events, I'm like,
that's kind of fun.
Fuck,
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously, but I feel like all war stories
But
are
if it's
inspired
exactly,
by
if it's
real
war,
events.
then I'm like, well, what?
Yeah.
Where else are you going to get the story from?
It's true.
You're going to make it up.
Or Overlord.
Overlord is a fucking cool movie.
Epic
Did we
movie.
talk about Overlord? The zombie World War II movie?
I have not seen that. I know the cover.
Get on it, man.
You'll
It's on
enjoy
Prime,
that.
I think.
Really?
It's very good.
Real fun.
Very good.
Okay.
You'll like it.
I think I watched it like mid last year. I think, and I think I might have talked about it on the show.
I think you did.
Yeah.
It does ring
Good
a bell.
fun.
You talking about it?
So this is written by Tom Hanks, which is good.
It is the coronavirus survivor.
Yes,
Survivor.
of course,
Champion.
And he, I'm trying to think. I obviously wrote and directed That Thing You Do,
Which is amazing, and
which
everyone
is
should see
fucking
it.
the best.
I don't think that's it though for writing.
Yeah, I know. It's
Is that
definitely.
is that what you're asking?
Well, yeah, I know he hasn't directed anything since then, but he might have written some other random stuff.
Larry Crown, straight to DVD. That one.
No, did he direct Larry Crown as well?
I believe he did.
Larry Crown.
Crown.
I
He
heard
did
was
direct
not
that
good.
one. Yeah, I heard it was bad. But yes, That Thing You Do and Greyhound. Now the director for Greyhound, Aaron Schneider.
Aaron Schneider, of course.
The only other thing he's done is, he's more of a cinematographer. Is Get Low, which I've never heard of. Get Low.
Oh, that's Bill Murray and what's his name? One of those old dudes, Robert Duvall.
One of those old dudes.
One of them old actors.
Robert Duvall, man.
I know.
Anyway, this looks batshit insane, and I'm all for this. This reminds me of. Do you remember? Throw your head back and think of. Remember Master and Commander with Russell Crowe? I actually really dug that movie.
It's a great movie.
I've wanted to watch it again, and the reason that I found it quite good while watching it, it was quite claustrophobic,
right?
Because they were stuck in the boat, people were attacking them, things like that, and I kind of got that sense of this, but this was a little bit more. By the way, we've got a fuck ton of CGI, so we're going to show you some
Let's do it. Like
Pearl
battleships.
Exactly.
Battleship was it Battleship?
Battleships.
Yeah, that was an
Battleship.
intense Battleship.
Really? Did you like that movie?
Yeah. I'm a big CGI guy. I'm sorry. I think I'm a big CGI guy.
I like it.
I think it's just epic because I respect the art form. I think I respect the hard work that goes into it.
That's pretty intense.
So I think for me to see like that,
I think there was CGI in Master and Commander. I'm pretty sure there was.
Yeah, there's CGI in everything now.
They would have had to. They didn't film it in the high seas.
No, I know that. I'm just saying that I'm pretty sure most of the film was in the cabin. It barely went out of the cabin. It wasn't a lot of like in this trailer for Greyhound. We're seeing a lot of the U-boat underneath the water, where the camera just flicks in and goes underneath. Sure. And the overshots with torpedoes or cannons or whatever. Whereas I remember Master and Commander being very enclosed. It was very inside the cabin.
I feel like there's definitely some battle scenes in it.
Okay.
I haven't seen it since 2003.
Exactly. Neither have I.
Wow.
Same year.
Speaking of 2003.
Same year as LXG.
It's good.
I feel like it is at 2003 Master and Commander. I don't know why I have that in my head. That's one of those.
LXG does that to you. Brings out the past. Some past endeavors.
See?
So what we're saying is basically Greyhound and Master and Commander are going to make a killer double feature, or we're going to flip a coin and two movies enter, one movie leaves.
That one.
Right. So they can they can't both exist on the same platform.
I just love Tom Hanks and everything. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. I'll love him in it. Like, I think.
Can you think of a Tom Hanks movie that you don't like?
Oh, it's really hard.
Okay, how about you, Tys?
There's a few, I reckon.
Yeah, I think you're biased.
I'm biased.
I don't know.
Tom Hanks.
It's more scenes. It's more scenes I don't like him in. Some scenes. And it's not because... Well, this is the thing. As an actor, you obviously...
Well, no one likes him to see him die in Philadelphia, man.
Oh,
no one wants to see...
I didn't want to see him all skinny and bearded up on Castaway either, but we don't get to choose what we get to see on these films.
Oh, yeah, those fucking...
those...
the Langdon movies.
Yeah, Angel and...
They're all bad.
Oh, they are bad. Did you like them? You did, didn't you?
I don't know if I've seen those ones. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm not old enough.
Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons.
Oh
and
yes, no, I've
Inferno.
seen. I haven't seen Da Vinci Code.
I've seen
What's the third one?
Inferno.
I've seen the second one. Angels
I know,
and
right?
Demons.
They made a third one.
Yes.
No one cared.
They made a third one. It was called Inferno, and Tom Hanks was in it.
Yeah, Inferno in 2016. It was directed by Ron Howard again.
I don't remember any of that.
I don't think anyone saw this thing.
I heard of it. Never seen it though. But I did watch Angels and Demons. That
you enjoyed it?
I didn't know what was going on
because it's a sequel.
Exactly. Like I find myself, I end up doing that. Like I feel like I would just see something.
You just got to put it on. You're like, yeah, this looks good.
Well, it's not simple anymore, right? They don't do like part 1, part 2. They just go
previously on.
Yeah, it's like the life of Nick, and then it's like Nick ever after. Like it's like they just. I don't know.
It's not a part 1. I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I love a part 2. Do you know what did I watch recently? Shit, nothing. I was watching trailers. That's why. When I'm making my tea, because I was just about to watch LXG, I was like, what trailer am I going to watch? And I... Nightmare on Elm Street 4. And that was always my go-to nightmare. Anyway, I watch it, and it was in the trailer. At the end of it, they go, Nightmare on Elm Street 5.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a big, like...
Yeah. They don't do that anymore.
They don't do numbers anymore.
Yeah,
that's true.
Numbers are dying out.
Yeah. Like, look at the Saw films, for example. Once again, I love Saw. But if you go Saw 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it keeps going up until...
5.
Yep.
6,
7. And then...
7, and then it was...
it wasn't 8 anymore. It was Jigsaw.
Exactly.
And then now it's Spiral.
Exactly.
So.
Tune in to...
and then technically Saw 7 wasn't Saw 7 either. It was Saw 3D.
That's right. That was when 3D was a thing for like 6 months.
Yeah, hot minute.
Please, man. James Cameron will bring it back and everyone's going to be on it.
And Avatar the sequel.
I love.
2032.
Fucking no one's going to see that.
No one's going to see it.
No one is going to see it.
Because of coronavirus.
That's it.
Because of coronavirus.
And it doesn't star Tom Hanks or The Rock.
Then what are we fucking doing here? I mean,
what a fucking piece of shit. I'm not going to see this shit. God damn it. But no one is going to see Avatar 2. No one's seeing that.
I don't think so.
I'm serious. And you know what makes me sad? Is because James Cameron is an amazing director.
He is.
But he's just wasting his time.
He should have jumped it while it was the hype. I think he should have done that while it was the hype.
Yeah.
You got to ride that train, man. Once you release the film, you can't be like, we'll wait for the technology. Because it's like that technology is going to take a long ass
Maybe
time.
do something in between, like Pain and Gain.
Yeah.
Like Michael Bay did.
Exactly.
He did a Transformers, and he's like, I'm going to wait for a bit.
Well, you got to respect the grind. I mean, Michael Bay made Transformers pretty much like all of them until Bumblebee, and made many other films in between. And love or hate the guy, he's still grinding.
He is,
James Cameron's.
He knows what he's doing. Hey, he brings in an audience.
He does.
That's because people love that shit. Tys, shall we talk about a specific film?
Yeah, so let's see Greyhound.
that's where
See Greyhound.
See Greyhound. Definitely.
Should we move on? Time for feature press.
Feature press.
Let's do it.
And now for our feature presentation.
Their powers are legendary. Their origins are unknown. Their methods are extreme. But when our future's at stake, they'll be the world's last hope.
And the game is on.
LXG, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
All right. We're back. 2003, Reese, I don't mean to be quite specific, but I need to know exactly how old you were.
Yeah.
In 2003.
Well,
2003.
I'm 26 this year.
I'm not gonna.
I'm turning 27 this year. So
that doesn't sound that bad.
I was
but
about
then when you say
9 or 10.
when you're 9 when
Tyson.
this movie
You're
came out,
ancient,
I'm like,
mate.
fuck off.
Yeah, you're really fucking old.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
You don't look it. For those listening, he doesn't look it. So
I do appreciate it, but
You look great.
Oh,
have you
thanks.
had a cleanse or something? Have you had a cleanse?
I've had a cleanse. Yeah, no, I've exclusively been drinking lemon water for like the last 6 years, so it's really doing
that's
a trick.
incredible.
You're looking great.
Yeah,
I need
yeah,
to try that.
doing a number on the
I
face.
need to try that.
Yeah.
So you would have been doing the math.
Doing the math.
17 years ago.
Yep.
10, 9.
Yeah, 9 or 10.
Okay,
That's
great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I would have loved to have been
Prime
9 or 10
kids
watching this movie. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Because I think this movie has a lot of potential and a lot of promise that it doesn't realize.
Yes.
Had this, and that's what halfway through this movie and after doing a little bit of research, I was like, their idea was really good.
Oh, so good.
Like,
Not
it
even
was-
their idea. The idea that they took to make a film from.
Obviously.
Yes.
But yes, the idea that Alan Moore and that came up with is such a great idea, taking literary heroes or even characters and putting them all together in a story.
Yeah.
It's gonna. It was.
Well, I think the thing that was
Money in
good
the
about
Bank?
it is because around that time, that was obviously when Blade, X-Men, they were doing comic book films.
Yeah.
So that was sort of like you were seeing
This is
the
even
birth.
post first Spidey.
Exactly.
Well, maybe even the second one as well.
Second.
Yeah. It was.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were sort of like developing, like pretty much birthing the new cinematic universe that you see today.
They were, yeah.
And I think the reason why this movie, and I've actually, now that I'm older and I've actually watched it again, and I've actually looked back, I'm like, I realize why I enjoyed it so much, and I realize why it ties in so well with like the Marvel Cinematic Universe and why I love that so much. And it's because, first of all, simplicities, the poster actually is designed similar. So if you really take a look at the poster, they're all designed as if like it's an Avengers team up, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And then you watch the film, and it's basically, this guy who is the top dog, and he goes around and starts recruiting people for another guy. Similar theme to Avengers. And then obviously these different people also have backstories, individual backstories. And that's where I think when you guys say like there's so much potential, I saw that too. It's like that's what I wanted out of it, which I never got, which I'm really disappointed
Dude,
about.
I'm just thinking about the Avengers similarities now, and it's actually
huge.
doing my head in a little bit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when I was watching it halfway through, I'm like, this is kind of the ground. This is where, like Reese said, with X-Men coming out, this is almost like they're building it up from this. Had we not had this movie, maybe the Avengers wouldn't have been.
Because it worked.
Do you know what I mean?
It worked, but I think the audience at the time may have not have adapted to it. So, because I actually went on IMDb and I looked at some of the reviews, and it does have like,
Man,
it's
that is a terrible,
That's
deep,
hard.
dark place.
Exactly.
The
And
IMDb reviews.
I was surprised because some of them had between 7 to 10 actually stars, and I was like, what? Like 7 out of 10? Like that's pretty good for the time. And you think about the type of theme and the movies that were out at the time. Like superhero movies weren't popular at all. So you were looking at films that were bringing in characters that the thing that I guess works so well with the Marvel Cinematic Universe is that each character had a backstory. So they had a film, an independent film, and then it led into the Avengers.
Yep.
Whereas these guys literally just got thrown in. Like when I watched it, I didn't know half these characters.
Yeah.
But I remember them from texts. And then obviously when you look at everything that's happening in the film, you're kind of like, oh my gosh, like if you had explained that in a prior film,
Yeah, I know, right?
I would have appreciated that so much more.
And I think that's what there was a are you all right, Tys?
Yeah.
There was a moment in there,
It's coming to terms with it.
especially with M, like there, you know that really it's a very formula thing that movies do when the lead guy, which is obviously Sean Connery's character, comes in and he gets the mission or whatever it is,
The task.
exactly, and they go into like that character who's giving him the tasks introduces the characters that he has to recruit.
Yes.
And you get like a cutaway where it tells you a little bit about that character.
Yep.
And then they go
Sure,
to
sure.
We didn't get that.
No.
Which would have so much help.
I think that would've made it.
I would argue that it's unnecessary because they are such popular literary characters. I would argue that it's almost wasting time. Yes,
but a 10-year-old
yes.
Reese is coming into that and going, who the fuck is Dorian Gray?
And I think, because I think some of the worst parts of this movie is when it does stop to kind of explain who they are, because it feels forced, it feels really unnatural.
It does, yeah. It would have benefited from at the start, though. Cut out the exposition in the middle and throughout the film.
Yeah, well, there is a big chunk in the middle of this movie where it just grinds to a halt, and it's most of just the conversations between people, and it would have been far better if that was spaced out across the rest of the movie, so that maybe we don't need to know exactly who they are just yet, so that deep down, like, if we know the literary characters, we can be like, oh yeah, I know what's going on here.
I kind of like that,
but the audience doesn't need all that information in one go. They can get it kind of gradually, maybe.
Yeah, 100%. Like I like when, so if you look at each individual character, speaking of Dorian Gray, I think he was character-wise one of my favorites in terms of his backstory and his powers and stuff. The way he was executed was just, he was kind of like a dope. I didn't really like that part of it.
Townsend. I'm so glad he's just... There's 2 movies now in like the last month that I've watched that he's just fucking awful in. I'm like,
you didn't like him in this? I actually didn't mind him in this.
I just liked his... I love this movie for its one-liners. I didn't realise how many there were.
This movie just all of a sudden turns, and then all it is one-liners.
Legit.
And you're like, this is almost like Batman and Robin. Where there is no lines.
No, you're right.
And
I think like in one of those, you know how they do those like top 10 worst lines in films or something? I think he's in it as one of them. It's when he... so in the scene... It's the scene when he's fighting... the vampire lady, I forgot her name now.
Yeah.
Mila or something, Mira.
Mina.
And Mina, that's it. So he's fighting her, and then he like stabs her and then pins her like obviously to the bed, and she falls on the bed, and he's like, oh, like I was gonna nail you one last time. I didn't think it would be this. I was like, like what the fuck?
That's terrible.
Yeah, just the lines, and I feel bad because the acting in it is like, it is amazing if you think about it for some of the scenes that they do, because if as an actor, if you're in a scene like that, some of that shit you could not take seriously.
Yeah, it'd be hard to deliver that line.
It would be so hard to deliver the lines. And like, I think Sean Connery does it really well. Like, I think he does
I enjoy Sean Connery in this.
He does do well in this, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Especially because I'm watching, like, I'm back-to-back bonding.
Yeah.
Actually, let's rephrase that. I'm back-to-back James bonding. Watching him in this, especially at the start in that pub scene, they cut that well. He looks like he can hold his own.
Yeah,
he looks like
his stunt double is a fucking spitting image for him. Yeah. It's great.
He's pulling some punches. He's doing well.
Actually, I thought about that myself. Yeah. I like Sean Connery in this. I feel like it's amazing that when you hear all the stories about how much he hated this experience,
he didn't show
it. Actually doesn't come through on the screen that much, which is nice.
Very professional.
He's also a questionable dude, but
he also is getting paid 14 million. You're gonna...
I think it might have even been more than that. I've heard figures up to like 17 or 18 mil.
Oh, really?
For this role.
Yeah. I would say those one-liners for that. If you can't get it with one bullet, don't get it at all, or something like that.
I did hear.
I don't mind that. That's not bad. If you can't do it with one bullet, just don't fucking do it at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's like
Americans.
running in, and I love how much it pokes at Americans too in this, because it's like everything. I guess you could say everything that British people do at that time is similar to like how the Australians would sort of take from it. And then he's just poking fun at Americans. He's like, stop shooting like randomly, thinking you're going to hit something. You're not.
Yeah, also the simple fact that there is an American character in this is just like one of those things where it's like, well, we can't have all.
Yeah,
they can't all be English.
They can't all be English or European. I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
where do you fucking think movies come from?
But I think it's yeah.
And while we're at it,
they come from Italy, you idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
But I love that it's like, like going back to I guess the similarities between like Marvel and what's going on here. Because like when I actually watched it again, I was like, yo, so we've got like a Hulk.
Yep.
We've got like pretty much like Skinner who's like running around like, I don't know, like Black Panther or like Hawkeye. Like you've got like these characters that have these similarities, and then they've got the one redhead who is Black Widow, aka Mina, which is an Australian actress, by the way.
Yeah, Peter Wilson.
Yeah, so they
don't know what I know her from. I know her from something.
She was in a TV series for a bit, and it was one of those
Halifax FP.
No, no, it was one of those. I think it might have been the
Country Practice.
No,
you're just throwing words at me now.
Nikita.
Oh, Nikita. Oh my God, I remember that one.
But the original Nikita, I think, like not the remake with like Maggie Q.
No, it's Flying Doctors.
I'm super young. I was super young at the time.
It's all right, man.
Peter Wilson was one of those. She never really was successful in Australia.
Yeah, most Australians aren't. they have to go overseas for that work.
Yeah, I wonder why Australia. Jesus Christ.
It's tough. It's tough because Australia tends to be real sad, or they're really proud when their actors become successful.
La Femme
they
Nikita.
are. Oh, really?
TV series from 97 to 2001.
Channel 9? Channel 10?
Channel 9.
I think they probably
was there a channel before that?
It probably would have been on Channel 9, to be honest.
Oh, really?
ABC Radio.
Around about
ABC Radio?
11:30 p.m. on a Tuesday, I'm guessing.
Yeah, no one's staying up that late on a
After
Tuesday.
Eddie Maguire's Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. That show never ended, dude. That show went on for years.
What do you mean went on? It's still going.
I think Eddie
that's what
Maguire
I mean.
has some major issues. But anyway.
What a ledge.
How I do like. Do you know what I love in this movie? How the set pieces are massive, bold statements. Like when the car rocks up, it's such the whole movie stops so we can look at the car because clearly we've spent a lot of money on it.
Of course.
And then, like I thought, oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to pay that car. That's quite a bit of money that's gone into this thing.
Yep.
And it does well. It's a nice set bit, whatever. The ship, however, I have problems with. That's
the sword of the ocean.
That's just really
I don't even think it's possible.
It's not great.
Is it even possible?
It's just a bit ridiculous.
Can't really turn it, can
The
you?
boat. No, the boat's the most ridiculous thing ever.
I've never most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in a film.
Yeah.
That is that boat.
Yep.
This movie has a real problem with scale. It doesn't understand scale of things.
No.
This boat is fucking huge.
So at one point, the boat is the biggest thing you've ever seen, and they're marveling at the sight of it. And then in another shot, it's just like cruising down a canal in Venice.
And I'm like, pretty sure. No, I'm pretty sure. No, I'm pretty sure the canal's not that high.
It's not fitting in that. But even the first scene, I noticed in the first scene when
when it rises out of the fucking water.
No, not even the first time we see that. Earlier when M is sorry, it's not M at that point, it's the Phantom. When the Phantom is crashing that factory where they make all the blimps.
Oh yes.
And I'm like, he's got like 4 blimps in a row in this factory, and I'm like, hang on. You're standing right there. I can see people walking past, yet it's like they look like miniatures. You know when you get miniature filming wrong?
Yeah.
And you see it in the context of the movie and you're like, something feels off about this.
Yeah.
Like you can't quite put your fingers on why.
And that's what I think. Like this movie, it could have been really good, but. And it is good in some elements, but you get just a lot of little sections in little scenes where you're like, and they all start building up, which is why I think it has the reputation that it does.
Well, yeah, I mean, so obviously at the time when you watch it, you're like mind blown. You know, this is 2003, 2004, and it's like incredible CGI to you, I guess. And then when you watch it now, you're like, holy shitballs! Like kids in university do better 3D models than that guy who skulls.
My iPhone.
The guy who skulls the whole Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde potion, and he's like, oh, don't drink that. And he turns into this half mutant baby. It's weird. He's like,
that's a very strange,
super weird,
CGI.
But
it
reminds me again of Hulk versus Abomination. Because it's
I was even saying about the whole the Avengers similarity is the M's plan at one point is to release Mr. Hyde.
Pretty much.
As well.
Pretty much.
Wow.
He puts them on the thing and is like, yep.
Shit, this is the first Avengers.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's a hidden Avengers film. And the fact that, how he takes, samples from each of them, that's pretty much what was going on, where they were like, we want to get your powers so that we can prevent them in the future if they're ever used against us.
Damn.
There's a lot in there. And I think maybe low-key, Kevin Feige is a fan. I think he's a fan of.
We're gonna tweet at Kevin Feige. Hey, are you a fan?
Did you like this movie?
Of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
I think it kind of comes down to execution, though, because it's a very good example of a movie that works against a movie that doesn't wholly work. I can think we can see the differences. And I don't want to blame Norrington either, because I think...
You don't want to blame Norrington?
I don't
Why
want to. I think he's done some decent work in this.
Oh, in this?
Pretty good.
Well, I mean, he directed Blade. That's fucking good work.
Blade is good.
But in this movie, I think he... As far as the direction goes, he makes a pretty admirable effort in a lot of this stuff.
He does not a bad job.
I think the action sequences are relatively enjoyable. The one in the library is really cool.
That was really good. I did have one issue with that, though. Where the fuck was all the paper coming from?
They're in the library.
No.
It was
there was paper falling from the sky for fucking 15 minutes.
There's
not that many. You're not shooting up in the sky for it to come down from there.
Yeah.
I was like, this looks really cool. I'm really into this, but where is all the paper coming from?
Well, that part where he's he grabs the ladder and he just swings it, and it's
badass.
they haven't shot yet, but somehow he's able to run there, dodge all the bullets, swing it, and get every single one of them.
Oh yeah.
This is magic. It's
Sean
movie
Connery.
magic.
It is
Sean
movie
Connery.
magic, but that's, there's enough ridiculousness. Like, I had this weird feeling when I was watching it the last time where it started and I was like, okay, I haven't watched this for probably 10 years. Let's see how we go. And I was like,
Was
I
this the
remember
last
hating
time you
it.
watched it?
So,
This is this watch.
This is this watch.
Right,
this
right.
watch.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, this is
Here we go.
I remember I remember giving it a good rating the first time I ever saw it.
Jesus.
Bumping it way down.
Nice.
In the last watch before this one, and now it's been about 10 years.
And now
I
it's
was
gone
like,
up,
okay, so
hasn't
I
it?
don't like this movie. And then sat down and I'm like, I'm really enjoying this.
I
And
know, right?
It's decent.
It's amazing
See?
how
Told
quickly
ya.
this movie just bombs out, though.
Yeah.
It's at about the 45-minute mark. I realised that all the goodwill that the first 20 minutes to half an hour build up, gone. And it does it so quickly, too.
Yeah.
Because you're on board.
It's because they're on the ship and they've got nothing to
It's
do.
honestly, as soon as the ship comes around,
Yeah.
as soon as once they get the
Sword
whole
of
team,
ocean, man, ruins everything.
Nautilus. It's called the Nautilus.
Nautilus.
And then the little pod comes out and he calls it's the Nautipod.
Is it the Nautipod?
Yeah, it's called
It's like the naughty corner.
Nautipod.
the naughty pod.
But the thing that I enjoy about it was definitely the first scene. I think that really set it up well when it was like in the bar and he's like, oh, I'm here to talk to Alan Quatermain. And then he's like, he's like, what was the one liner? It was like, England needs you. And he's like, but do I need England or something? Or do I need the Queen or something like that? And I think that like was really, really good. The whole bar scene, everything. And then he's like, oh, the fight's now to you. The ball's in your court. What do you want to do? Touching on your point, is like when, it gets about like to that point where he's like, this is my boat. Oh, she's arrived. And then it's like suddenly there's just this awkward, like everyone has to sort of explain. They use the boat as the catalyst to explain everybody's story.
Yeah,
Well, they've got nothing else
it's
to
the
do at
sitting
that
around
point.
hanging out on the boat. And because I'm less interested in what Dorian Gray's doing.
Yeah.
And he's just funny fanning about from room to room, just being a fucking pain in the ass and being useless.
Give me your blood.
Exactly. Having, double entendre chats with, what's her name?
Mina.
With Mina. And I actually really like the Dr. Jekyll stuff.
Yeah, that was cool.
I'm a big fan of that stuff. And that's interesting to me.
That was really cool, especially the reflection and how he was talking to stuff.
Yeah.
The reflection.
So that's one of those things where
it could have been good, but
they didn't catch up with the technology for it, so that it's a really great idea, but no one turned around and said, hey man, we can't make that look good.
Yeah.
It's a great idea, but we can't make it look good.
Exactly.
The only time it actually looks good is when he's underwater.
Yeah, and then he's like,
and he sees him and he's like,
sees it,
way to go. Great work, Mr. Hyde.
Bravo, Hyde. Bravo.
I love it. The one-liners get
Reese
me.
has got it down,
I
man.
love it, man. They're so good.
We're kind of rattling off the good stuff. So let's keep going for it, because then we can start talking about the stuff that doesn't make sense. I think.
All right, sure.
I love that too, though.
Because we'll get
I love
part of the charm.
Yeah,
I have a
shit
little
that
bit of a
doesn't make
question.
sense.
I have a little bit of a question though, because I was in the same boat as you, Tyson. I went in. I was like, I remember absolutely hating this movie, and I was having a ball. That first scene in the bar, like Reese said,
it was good.
Even the
Kicked
prequel
off
to
for
that,
us.
I think it's really exciting.
A
With the
nice
tank,
setup.
getting the blowing up the banks, all that stuff.
Phantom is actually a quite scary dude.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on there. His mouth is kind of bizarrely mutated.
Yep.
He's got like the Phantom of the Opera thing happening, even though they didn't have the rights, so they weren't able to do it.
Phantom with an F, mind you.
Exactly.
With an F.
But when they met up and they all got together, Avenged style, and went off, why do they all hate each other?
That's true.
That's
Well,
what I didn't
this
get.
is-
I was
yeah.
like, why do you guys all hate each
Well,
other?
they had
all
to
of a sudden?
force some kind of conflict in, but I mean, this is the Avengers thing as well. There's they want us to believe that you put these characters in a room and there will be immediate tension because of their very differing personalities. But the problem is that none of them really have personalities at all at the moment.
At that point,
Like they're just faces
getting
to
to
put
know
on
people.
legends.
Yeah.
So we know their name and what they've done, but we don't know really anything else about them.
Yeah.
And so they're forcing this conflict on us. Like it's like, Nemo, worships some crazy Hindu gods, so
Which
he must be weird.
Didn't go
must be
fucking
weird.
anywhere.
No,
He didn't go anywhere at
and
all.
he closes the door, and that's it. That's the end of that.
Yeah.
Never going to hear about
This
that.
movie is like ripe with. Are we going to talk about that?
Talk about that? No,
Yeah,
let's
we
just
can
keep
do that.
going
Yeah,
then. All right,
I
cool.
like that as well.
So funny. That happens a lot.
Yeah, but even like Mina, like with the whole vampire thing, it's like it's never really addressed that there's a vampire floating around, and you know the bloodlust and stuff like that. Dorian Gray, it's it gets mentioned in passing, you know, the immortal, and it's like, oh no, you don't worry about where my painting is. Why isn't someone going, what the fuck's up with that painting?
Yeah, what's so important about it?
Yeah, let's find this fucking painting.
I love that that's pointed out like straight away. Like Sean Connery's like, "Oh, you're missing a painting." And it's like
really obvious.
Yeah.
And anyone who's actually read The Picture of Dorian Gray know exactly what that is.
Yeah.
Like that's for.
Well, I mean, it's partly a movie made for idiots, but also for an audience that doesn't understand these people. So
you want to make sure that you collect it. You know, you're including everyone.
Yes, but I mean, obviously, there's better ways to do it. I mean, maybe we could have just walked past the empty spot on the wall and just left it in the shot.
Yeah.
We would have known it's like, that's where the painting goes. But then, I mean, that helps us because we know the story. But if someone doesn't know the story, I suppose it doesn't help them at all. They'll be like, why the fuck am I staring at an empty painting?
But that's a second watch, man. It's layered.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. Everyone's in for a second watch of LXG.
Maybe the mystery is what's important.
Maybe a 10th watch. Sorry, Mum. Yeah. I don't know.
I've probably watched this 4 or 5 times.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, because I this is one of those movies that I used to
chuck
wonder.
It on the video store,
I was like, nah, come on. I think there's got to be something else going on there.
Yeah.
I don't reckon it's that bad. And then I'd chuck it on and be like, oh, this is why I don't like it.
That's what I do with the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm like, I'm pretty sure they got it. Why do I hate it? I can't hate it that much.
Yeah, I can't put my finger on it.
Midway through, you're like, Jesus Christ, I could be doing anything else right now.
Well, this is the thing. When I watched it, so like, as obviously you watch it multiple times, when I watched it initially, I was like, cool, superhero movie. Love it. Want to see this. And it was obviously set in a different way. You know, you're set in this sort of, 1899, so it's like this really like very old time, and
it's a bit wild westy though with its technology.
It is, and I think like when I watched it recently, I thought about watching it by thinking about it as a comic book.
Right.
So when you watch it as a film, it doesn't really work. But then when you watch it as a comic book, you start to realize, that's pretty witty, like what he said, or like that's pretty cheeky, or like
I might read better on a panel. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. But so, having said that, though, apparently the comic book, which I haven't read, is vastly different.
Yes.
Characters are all very different motivations, much more layered, complex, all that kind of stuff. Yep. This is basically the dumbed-down, simplified version of it.
Alan Moore, man, he just gets... He doesn't do well with his adaptations. He hates them. He flat out hates them. Well, after this is the one where he was like, and I'm out.
He cursed him.
I'm really out. And so it was this. It was V for Vendetta. I didn't know From Hell. That was actually his as well.
That's one of his
Watchmen,
as well.
And of
Batman,
course,
The Killing Joke.
And Watchmen, and Killing Joke. Yeah.
Killing Joke, which was really good.
The cartoon?
Yeah.
Oh, I hated that.
Really?
Yeah.
The comic is amazing.
The comic is good.
Read the
comic.
comic.
Yeah.
And look, to be honest, he's probably got a good cause to be pretty shitty because there's not a lot of great stuff there. I think V for Vendetta is pretty great, but
I think that's the only one. Yeah. Like
I do love Watchmen though.
Watchmen is good, but they missed the point of why he wrote it.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. I'll show you something later.
Okay.
Oh, hey, what's up?
Oh, hey, what's up?
How's it going?
I thought someone else was going to talk. We just
Captain Nemo's
I was just reading my notes.
Yeah. So what else? Let's just cap it off. Is there anything else that we think is actually well realized? I'll start us off. I really like the way they do the transformation of Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde.
It's quite scary.
It's really great. I think it's it feels kind of like old school Universal Monster style.
Yep.
It's done all in camera. It's trickery. It's really clever.
Yep.
Even though I think his final look is probably a bit too extreme.
Yeah, a bit weird.
The arms are a little too big.
Yeah, but it's mostly practical though.
It is practical.
Which
you can
is
totally tell.
What?
Yeah,
which
you can tell.
which is amazing.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
The way he walks and stuff, it's totally.
He's totally there. It's
all.
It's prosthetics and shit.
Yeah, they went hard out.
The arms are prosthetics.
Well, look, I think there would be some movement
Lord,
shots.
man.
There would be some obviously action shots that they had to use CGI for, but generally when he's just hanging there, like those bits where he's just standing there with the chains on him and talking, that's just him. That's him in his makeup.
Damn.
Yeah.
Because he looks huge.
Yeah, there's
He looks Hulk size.
There's some footage
he's big.
of
He's a big boy.
The making of it and stuff like
I
that.
need
But
to
even
look
just the step-by-step transformation, I think is really well realized.
Yeah.
It does.
It's like in bursts. It's not just like this fusion like that just mutates. It's like
and even knowing well enough that there is no. It's really hard to pull off a very good transformation.
True.
You know, like only a couple of things have done it really well.
Yep.
And I think they had the wisdom to say, look, we're not going to be able to compete with that, so we need to go in a different direction. What can we do? And this flashes and this smoke bombs kind of going off and all
like
that.
Blurred freezing.
Yeah. I think it works really well, and you're right. It's fucking pretty scary, man. Because they have some shots of him like half done, and it's fucking nightmare fuel.
Yeah, full on.
Yeah, for a 9-year-old, it was pretty traumatic.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck this movie,
for a
man.
9-year-old. I had nightmares.
Yeah, I had nightmares. I was like, fuck, this is supposed to be a good movie.
Oh.
This is terrifying.
I remember, I am so bang on what you said, because remembering back when this was advertised, like when the trailer came out.
Yeah.
X-Men 2 was the next big one, and everyone was waiting for that.
Yeah.
And they plugged this like it was a superhero movie.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that it is.
No.
I think it's more literary characters coming together who have either curses or powers or somewhat have some form of ability.
Yep.
It's not necessarily superheroes, though, but they did bank it like that, and they have filmed it like that.
Well, it's almost like freaks all put together in just one room. And then, hey, here you go.
Hey, a Suicide Squad, maybe.
Maybe we're some kind of Suicide Squad.
Good line.
Yeah, but I think the movie makes more out of all of them, though, doesn't it? Like in the comic book, he's Dorian Gray, but it's not like he's immortal or anything.
I haven't read the
he just
comic
happens.
books.
It's Dorian Gray, and
the
the poster, his portrait's the same deal, but he can't just like.
He can't just take a
swat down a bunch
of bullets.
Yeah, bullets and stuff.
Yeah.
And Mina's not a vampire.
I'm cool.
No, she's not.
She's still Mina Harker.
Yeah.
But she's not a vampire.
No.
Right. She's just a scientist.
Yeah.
Mad scientist.
So I think in order to make it more like those kind of movies,
they had to tweak something.
They wanted to up the ante a little bit.
Yeah. Captain Nemo is not a master of kung fu.
No. Yeah,
But
he does
fuck,
like
man,
he break dances and wipes out half like the fucking room. I'm like, what the hell?
He's got some skills,
and
man.
Alan Quatermain. I'm like, yeah, you guys could pretty much take on anyone. I'm pretty sure.
just the two
you
of
guys.
you.
You guys will be fine.
Yeah.
I'll tell you
And
what, I
then Sawyer.
love that shot, and it was from all the trailers, where Sean Connery kicks that dude in the leg so he drops down and just decks him.
Yeah.
With a punch.
Yeah, with that one punch. That is one of the greatest punches, movie punches. It's so like he
It's
hits
heavy.
it quick. It's heavy.
Yeah,
the sound
it's
effect
heavy.
is perfect.
Yeah. He's just
I love it.
Yeah. Sawyer, I didn't get though. I didn't get his character much.
It was Alan Quatermain.
It was like a replacement for his son, I think.
Yeah,
His
well, I
son
mean, that's what they were
dies.
obviously trying to set up.
They were trying to give
the
him
idea of it's
pass
like
on the torch.
Yeah, or even just to have like it's this. The script writers have created this character arc for Quatermain that we don't actually give two shits about.
No.
It exists through the
get it,
movie,
really.
but it's unnecessary. It might as well just not be there. And that's this whole thing of him learning to maybe love someone like his son again after he not betrayed, but after he would let down his own son by not being able to protect him. But really, that's not what we're here for.
No, we're here to see fucking
badass stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a novel attempt by them, because I watched the scene like where they're out on the thing shooting at the things.
Yeah.
And think that there is promise there for a kind of heartfelt scene.
Something.
But it's just written so badly.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And that's a big problem.
It's just unfortunate.
Did you teach your son to shoot like this?
Like, it was so bad.
There are at least 6 other ways to say that line that isn't so on the nose.
I know.
That would get the same effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even just something like, could your son shoot this well? Or could your son shoot as well as you? Anything like that.
Yeah.
But the way that it's like, he's like turns to him like a puppy dog, just straight up like, oh, am I doing, did you do this with your son, or am I cooler than him now?
It's
Yeah.
such an
I got
Aussie
to
thing
learn.
to do. Like, did you do this with your mate?
Yeah.
Like, you guys hang out a lot?
It was just, I just didn't like it.
Where's he at?
Although
What's he doing?
Points to Sean Connery, who just like fucks off from
Yeah,
that
he
scene.
fucks off, doesn't he? He just walks out. He's like,
I've had it with this shit.
Yeah. It's probably like a
I'm just
real
waiting
thing.
for a mate.
Yeah.
He probably just got sick of the fucking movie at that point, and they were just like, hey, you know what, that's
Jesus.
actually not a bad way to end this scene.
It's literally the last day, and he's just like, I'm fucking out of here.
No, it's
Like,
not even. It's mid-shoot, and he just walks off, and the director goes, so I guess that's lunch.
Yeah.
Shane West, you just look back, and we'll just cut it there.
Yeah.
Quartermain, and that's it.
No?
That's
No?
it. No, okay, cool. Doesn't cut. He literally just fucked up. He walked completely
Quartermain to
offset.
set. Quartermain to set.
Yeah.
No.
No, we're
No?
good.
It's gone.
Okay, cool.
He's in his trailer. I'm out. Fuck
Connery stunt double. We're gonna do some.
We're going to do some more
behind the
shots.
shoulder shots. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Oh god.
So are we talking about the bad things now? Are we moving into?
Look,
Are there
I'm-
any
I-
more good things?
I'm kind of out of good things, to be honest.
I will say one thing before we move on.
Please.
I think the way that they sort of revealed some of their powers was good, but the things that, like, for example, my favorite part was when, like, the guy grabs Mina, and he's like, you know,
Reveal
they're
that
gonna
she's a
protect
vamp?
you. Yeah,
Yeah,
and she's
yeah.
like, the mistake is you think that I need them to protect me.
That was done really well.
badass. I
That
was
was
like,
done
oh
pretty
shit,
well.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
And then, like, when she does her little bat thing, and Sean Connery's like, oh, looks like the bat lady.
Yeah,
has
that
us
looked
covered.
cheap.
That was
cheap.
weird.
That was
super
really
weird.
cheap.
But they executed that first part really well, I think.
Sean Connery legit is just being Sean Connery when he's talking about her, isn't he?
Legit, yeah.
I'm not following around some woman.
It really is.
I'm just like, oh, dude.
Yeah.
They just filmed Sean Connery having a rant.
Connery.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's
flip the
lightly
coin.
say some things that we didn't like.
All right. First of all,
Yeah, go for it.
What's
Reece.
the big ones?
this was
please.
You got to admit, you're the fan of this movie. So
this was the one of the big
What's
ones.
those?
Well, I love watching like both from two perspectives, but I think for me the big one was Skinner's makeup, bro. Like,
Oh, really?
there was points where he was applying it, and then it was just a whole head. Like, he had a whole makeup department already applied. Like, one scene, he's like, all right, let's go out then. And he walks off with like half of it done.
Yeah, which actually looked not that bad.
Not that
like
bad.
For 2003.
For that time.
Not bad.
Steps outside, fully covered. Like, took a shower in white makeup.
Which is clearly just...
it's literally, it's literally
like
just
a
on him.
balaclava. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Was not a
I
fan
did
of
mention that. They needed to be consistent. I actually thought that they were more consistent with it. I remembered it being that you saw when he did the application, when he was doing it himself, but then in the next scene, it would all be done and stay that way.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, well, okay, it's obviously a bit of a cheap workaround.
Being invisible.
But it's consistent at least. It's like maybe in the time between him walking from there to there and in the car for a little bit, maybe he did do the rest. I just knocked my headphones, but maybe he did the rest of the back of his head and stuff like that. But what happens is he does this scene in the car, fully white makeup. Then the next scene in the house, he's back to just having the little bits. And it's like, well, fuck, man, if you want me to like
Where's
actually get on board,
man?
like
Where's the
keep it
continuity?
consistent.
Just keep it consistent.
Do
so
Hollow
that-
Man style, just
Wrapped.
Shit, yeah, they should have just wrapped it up.
wrapped his head.
Though points.
But that's where like the really good when they have to get into action, he throws the water in his face to get it off.
Yeah, and he like starts
strips.
running.
Yeah.
Like that scene was actually quite decent. I was like, oh wow,
I
that's
think the
not a bad thing to
jacket
do.
floating around looks really good.
That's
I don't know.
cool.
I don't know why how some of the special effects can look so great and others can look so terrible.
Completely
Yeah.
bomb.
Because I really think
and Bob Hard, like
Yeah.
it's not a light like that monster at the end. That was fucking shit.
I
was
don't. I
terrible.
just don't understand why they thought that was a good idea.
No,
Especially when he
who
screams.
looks at who looks back and goes, you know what, that looks quite good. Let's keep that.
I think we've got it, guys.
we got it.
I think we got it, guys.
And what else was I going to say about him?
Invisible Man.
Oh, and so the other thing is, like, they go to the trouble of, I don't know if you noticed, but when he's talking, you can't see his tongue or teeth.
No.
So they've obviously invisible that. Yeah, you know where I'm going. So, and then he takes a drink, and we
you see
see
it
the
go
drink
down
go
his
down.
throat. Yeah.
So then
That
I
makes
was asking
no
the question.
fucking sense.
So, okay, so what happens to that liquid? Does that mean he's
Just
walking
sit-
around
he's
and
walking around
sitting
with a
there
little sit-
It's like
for
a
a
little
little while
puddle of liquid.
until he pisses and it comes out?
So
and I'm
he's
like,
like-
what if he eats something? Does that just sit inside his stomach for a little while?
So he like splashes. Imagine that splashes the water on his face, takes the coat off, and you still see the bubble of water.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
You're like, there he is.
There he is.
Look at him
Fucking
go.
get him,
Where are
get
you
him.
going? No,
And so-
okay,
No,
take it easy.
He's on the boat. He's on the Nautipod, sitting behind.
Oh, he's just a puddle of water,
Yeah.
just sitting there.
He's just
That's
sitting there.
ridiculous.
So I was I ended up going down this kind of trail of just like, so hang on, but our bodies are so much water, so like you could see the water inside our bodies.
So you're going
and I
to
was
see
like-
all the water?
And I was like, what about blood? Is his blood invisible as well? I was like, this is way too complicated, and all you had to do was just not be dickheads and show him take a drink.
But no, you wanted to show off the special
and I'm
effect
like,
that
you know
you
what?
had.
Save that cash and put it towards your fucking
The last
Vampire
monster.
or something.
Oh.
Or the last monster. Exactly.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
last fucking monster.
They didn't know. I think he was left last, to be honest.
Yeah,
because
you can
legit,
tell.
you look at the beginning and you're like, wow, insane VFX, pretty cool. Yep, all right, Invisible Man. Yep, sick, Bat Lady. Okay, cool. Bullets, never ending, whatever. You get to the
that Dorian
end.
Gray effect was quite good.
Yeah,
I did like that.
And you get to the end, and it's
What,
like
when he died?
budget.
No, when he's
He gets-
wiping off the
I'm complicated.
bullets of the I'm complicated.
I'm
This guy does
complicated.
it backwards.
Yeah,
I love
so
it.
good.
Yeah, they left it to the end.
They left it to the end, and then he's
Yeah.
like screaming at the camera as well. When he's like yelling at him, he's like, "Ugh." And I'm like, this looks like something out of like a really bad like advertisement on TV. So when you're watching it, and
Well,
it's
like a PlayStation 1 game.
exactly, like it was game
back in the
graphics.
day.
They
yeah.
were game graphics.
That was
like
pretty
he's going to
bad.
bust
Real.
through the screen with like holding a cartridge.
Oh god, yeah,
Yeah.
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 So
I know what you
I
mean.
was like,
Oh,
shocking,
damn.
shocking.
I have a little bit of a gripe. Like midway through.
Just a little?
Just a little. She's a vampire, yes?
Yes,
Fully fledged? There's no like something that I missed. I'm only asking.
Well,
she got
Is
bitten
it-
by Dracula.
She got bitten by Dracula.
But she can walk around in the daylight.
So
and all
why
that
is she
kind of
walking
stuff.
around in daylight?
Yeah,
That was
I
my
don't know
gripe.
stuff. Yeah.
True.
I was like, she's out in the daylight. What is going on here?
She wears like funeral clothes all the time, but she's in the daylight.
I'm fine
Yeah.
with that.
I get.
What the hell?
No, but she was walking. I get you. I get your point.
Oh, so you think that the funeral clothes had something to do with the blocking the sun?
Maybe
Oh,
Maybe.
because she
I think
did
it's
have
a-
a veil on when
she
she was
did,
outside, didn't
yeah.
she?
Oh,
So
piss off. I think that's a mass reach.
it is.
it is. Look, I'm saying
Hey
it.
man,
I agree with
if
you,
they
man.
can
It's
show
a
liquid
reach.
in an invisible guy and a
Good point.
beast,
I'm nitpicking.
I think. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
No,
All
but
right.
nitpicking is good. I like seeing that. It's really fun.
I'm with you.
Do you know? Remember the scene where what is the ship called again?
The Nautilus.
The Sword of the Ocean.
The Sword of the Ocean. When he gets hit with the bombs inside or whatever. And
Oh
blows
my
up,
God!
right?
Yes.
Right. Do you remember there was a scene where they all have to move? You know, that's the ship gets hit and everyone is inside moves.
The Star Trek trick.
I saw so many ropes pull that table.
Oh, really?
Did you see that? You didn't
no,
see that?
I didn't see that.
It was so blatant that I was like, wow, you literally just left that in, didn't you? Like, all of these ropes.
The budget, man, they ran out. They
I was like, and pull and cut. And I was like,
Couldn't
oh, come
CGI.
on, man. Are you kidding me?
There is a certain amount of laziness to this movie.
Yeah.
I think in a lot of different, like post-production stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think of how, maybe because of how badly everything went.
Yeah.
I think the enthusiasm, like,
But
from
also,
a lot of people kind of waned once shooting finished.
Yeah.
Because you can see some of those things that just, you'd spend a little bit more time on. Continuity stuff. I'm amazed how many times people have their clothes ruined and then in the next scene the same set of clothes are perfect.
Yeah.
It happens multiple times.
Well, that happened to the bigger one was when like after he just got shot. So after Dorian Gray got shot.
No, but he comes out in a completely different outfit.
But it's like
No, it's the same suit,
It's
man.
the same
No,
suit.
is it?
Yeah.
It's like,
it's
how
not.
did
It's
he even
different
get
colour,
that
isn't it?
changed? No, it's still Dorian Gray.
That's
It's
hilarious.
the same grey suit, unless he's got a bunch of them stacked up somewhere.
probably does.
Just disappears
And
for a second.
the time between like when he gets shot to when they all like meet up and they're like,
like
what the
split
fuck just
second.
happened?
Yeah.
And he's like, hey guys, what's going on? I'm back. And then he has like one of his one-liners again, and it's like, fuck off. Like, you have so many like it's not fair against everybody else. He has so many one-liners, and they're all corny. Like everybody else delivers them well. Like Sean Connery's like, oh, looks like the Bat Lady's got us, and it's like it's all good, and you're like, yeah, cool, we'll let that slide. But then you get to Dorian Gray, and he's just like, Mina. Like it's like so overdone. Like
so many people meet each other exactly in that way. So many times two characters get together in a room and you hear
I just see the
Dorian, Mina.
Yeah. It's like, didn't you guys say this? Like, you guys
Pretty
said
sure
this
you
before.
guys have met 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. Or like
Didn't we get this out of the way with already?
When they like, because they obviously, the way that they do it is they're recruiting based on who will recruit the next person. So it's like Alan Quatermain, and then you've got Skinner's just jumped on board, and then Sawyer's joined because of Quatermain.
Yep.
And then you've got, they get Mina, who
Dorian
gets
jumps
Dorian
in
Gray.
with Dorian.
And it's like, after that, he's like, all right, well, I'm not interested. I've told you guys before. Walks away, and she's like, hello, Dorian. And he's like, oh, now I'm interested. Like, I fucking heard her voice once, and I'm in. And then you go back to the next scene on the boat, and he's like, Mina. And it's like, Dorian.
Every time they run into each other, it's the same shit.
Yeah. It's like, why?
And apparently, like, there's obviously some kind of history between them.
Which we don't get a glimpse of at
Which
all.
we don't really even find out about, but they just, they obviously want to get it on. And
They do.
A little bit.
yeah, they make out, but that's just him stealing her blood.
Yeah.
Right.
So that they can make how's the fucking little, like, it's like a
Care
Swiss
package.
Army knife care package
It's a
of
little
like,
care package.
so you get a little bit of vampire blood, you get a little bit of like evil juice.
What do you get from Quatermain and Nemo? Oh, you get his science.
Yeah, Nemo.
Which is just
couple of photos of some shit.
And what do you get from Quatermain?
I think that's why.
nothing.
I
Like
think
a silver bullet.
Well, I think that's why Quatermain was like the unique one, because you can't really steal. It's just all
That's
talent.
true. It's just all him.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
I like it.
Yeah, I think it was interesting because when you get to that scene when he's like Sawyer's like running and he bumps into like the invisible guy. He's like, no, go on without me. It's just Skinner. How do you? Why would you assume that? Like, in that hallway when Skinner literally is like down on the other side. You know what I mean? So it's just Skinner.
I think there's a lot of things cut from this movie. I think there's a lot of little connecting scenes that are cut from it.
For sure.
Because we end up in really odd places geographically.
It jumps quite a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, in terms of like the blocking, you're just kind of like, you were over there a second ago, now you're over there. Okay,
that's
we're just going to
true.
buy this. This is a question I want to ask, like, quite honestly. I'm not trying to be funny. I don't understand what happens at the end of the Venice sequence when
The
Tom
building's falling.
Sawyer.
Is that what you're
yes,
talking about?
so the buildings are falling.
Yep.
Tom Sawyer sees the Phantom.
He has-
shoots the flare.
No. So he has to. The plan is
Please tell me
because
the
they're dominoing, right?
They need to
The
stop
houses
that
are
effect.
dominoing, so you have to stop that effect. So to stop that effect, you blow up the one that it's about to
Domino. And it will stop.
So it will fall on nothing, and then the domino effect stops. So he has to drive the car in front. This is such a stupid fucking idea.
Now that you explained
now
it.
that I've explained it, he has to drive the car as fast as he can at the front of the domino line, shoot the flare. Nemo shoots a missile that
Aim-
comes down
targeting the
that
car.
blows up.
Sorry,
Yeah,
in his
targeting
own
the car.
car.
That targets the car, that blows up whatever the car is in, at that point it's a house because Tom Sawyer drives it into a house and it stops the effect. Horrible.
All right,
idea.
that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a little bit of a Bond type thing.
Did they explain it? Or was I just not
They
making
did.
They
It was
did.
very quick.
Okay. Yeah. He was
Very
like,
quick.
get in. And then that was it.
And if I was Nemo, I'd be like, dude, can you get out of my car? It's my
I'd be
fucking
like,
car.
yo, the fuck?
But
This
that's
is
just
an
me.
automobile. I love how he delivers
He's
that
never
line.
driven a car before in his lifetime, Sawyer, and he's fucking busting doughies around,
Exactly, isn't it?
doing some sick drifts on the.
In a
Fucking
car
Tokyo
that,
Drift.
like, logically, the car has, like, doesn't it have, like, 4 wheels at the front or something?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Logically, it doesn't make sense how you can turn that in such a way.
Yeah.
Like, the wheels would all go that way. You would have way too
It'd
much...
be like Batman. You know how they
way
all
too much
flick?
turn.
Oh yeah, that's not bad.
But he, like, drifts around corners and shit. I'm
Yeah.
like, is it even rear-wheel drive? You've got the 4 wheels at the front.
Please, with the Nautilus, I really feel that we're missing the massive
That
opportunity.
Nautipod
because-
was weird, too. It came out and it was like... ding, 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 and all it did, the blades just...
Which didn't make
rotate.
any sense
It
either.
didn't,
Because it would go like that, or fall,
Yeah.
or yeah.
Somehow it's
Oh,
maintained
we're trying to
its
explain
buoyancy.
a hilarious movie here.
We're getting
great.
The problem is we could just try and be like, I don't get this bit. What is this bit, man?
Yeah, but we need to...
But that's just the movie, man.
Yeah.
I think
You
that's
just have to go along for the
you
ride
gotta
at
go
this
for the
point.
ride.
Oh, it's
You
so
do.
good. It's such a good ride. Such a good ride. Because you watch it and you're like, this is a great movie. Maybe it isn't. Oh, that line
You know
was
what I want to do?
interesting.
I really want to watch Avengers after this so I can go, shit, this is really good, isn't it? This is
how it's
really good. This is how it's meant to
Yeah. Yeah, and then you'll get one random one-liner and you're like, that's why it's called a one-liner. It can't be a one-line if everyone's doing it. You know what I mean? Like,
be.
legit.
You love the one-liners, don't you?
I fucking love them.
You love 'em.
They're so good because I think it's just the way that it's executed is almost... It's one of those situations where they execute it so badly that it's good. Like,
Yeah, some of them are pretty bad.
They are some pretty bad.
like oh,
I don't mind
man.
a few of them.
Such as?
Well, it's not. But it's not even the way that calling them one-liners is maybe even being a little bit harsh to
Generous.
some of them. But like I think Dorian Gray talks shit a lot
all the time.
But the other characters, when they do have their lines, are generally kind of suit their character and are relatively, timed well. They're part of the plot. They're not just lines with absolutely no sense whatsoever that just come out of nowhere.
I just remembered something when at the end, like towards the end, when Skinner helps out Sawyer and he gets completely fucking first degree burns all over his body.
Oh, yeah.
And the line he goes, that's the last time I ever play with matches. And then at the end, he's fine.
fine.
He's healed. He's like, oh, I wish Africa really did keep him alive. Where are your burn marks? Even with the white makeup, like you would have burn marks.
Yeah, he got burned pretty badly.
So I'm like, does he have super
I thought
healing?
he'd be dead.
Yeah, I thought he died too. And then at the end, he's like, oh, poor bugger, like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
I must have missed this bit. I don't know. what
oh,
you're talking
really?
about.
Yeah,
It was at the very end.
It's when he's
Like, I was
fighting
passing out.
the flamethrower guy, right? Like he comes after
Do you remember
Sawyer.
the flamethrower guy?
Yeah.
You have no
Sawyer-
idea what we're talking about.
We're in like a completely different universe.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's when he like pulls out the guns and he's like, doo, 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 doo.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
the guy's like obviously in a armored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then as he's like burning down the whole fucking building,
He
burns
smashes the back of it or something?
He punches the back of the gas tank.
Of the tank, and he goes down, and as he does,
and the
he
guy
like, gets flames
spins and he burns him. And then you just see this little invisible guy go, ah!
while he's on fire. It's the worst.
That is so good. He's like, ah, like runs off, and then Sawyer's like, fuck him. I got to finish what I was set to do in the first bit. And then he gets to the end of it, and he's like, that's the last time I play with matches. It's the last time you play with anything.
He doesn't
You're
get
like-
anything though. It doesn't like. It's not like Sawyer actually helps him out. He's like, okay, cool, man. I gotta go.
Yeah, he
I
just
gotta
watches
help some
him.
people. You deal with your own shit.
But imagine seeing him get completely burned, run out going, ah!
And it's not like a fire. It was a flamethrower.
It was
so
a
that shit
flamethrower.
sticks to
It
you.
sticks to you, and he gets to the end. You
don't
see
remember
him.
shit. That's gold, Tyson.
That's so good because then he's like on the ground, half invisible, half burnt.
Yeah.
Which goes to your other point.
And
of
it's like melted as well. Like
Yeah.
it's what is melted? It's his skin.
his skin. But then
Which
how does
doesn't
that
make
make
any
sense because of the
sense.
drink?
That
You know
doesn't
what I
make
mean?
any
Like because he
sense.
drinks it.
You have to go back and see this.
You have to see that last.
I'm
It's
gonna
just
show
that
you.
I'm going to
last
show you a
part.
photo.
I'm alright.
I'm going to show you a photo.
It's just the best.
So, just a couple of things I wouldn't mind getting some kind of clarification on.
Oh, here we go.
Is why one of the things is why do we think why out of nowhere did Mr. Hyde have a change of heart? What was the thing that propelled him to want to help?
Oh, where he was like, "We can do it together."
Yeah.
Well, I feel like he wasn't. That's the thing. Like with for example, the Hulk. The Hulk went through that sort of phase, right, where he was like just smashing everything, killing everyone, didn't give a
Yeah.
shit. And then over time, because of like I guess
Bruce
learning,
getting
because
control.
Because I read
Yeah.
somewhere that the Hulk learns the longer he stays the Hulk. That's why in Thor Ragnarok,
Yes.
he can start to talk and stuff now.
Yeah.
Because he's got the mind of like a 5-year-old, and I feel like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Mr. Hyde's probably like well into that already. Like he doesn't follow that sort of. Like I think he's already like it's basically split personality.
Yeah, well, that was the mind behind what Dr. Jekyll and Mr.
Yeah, but
Hyde
they're implying that
was,
he's a psychopath though. Like he was causing the murders in the Rue Morgue and everything like that, and so. And nothing up to that point made it seem like it was a conflicted kind of character. He was just straight up the evil version.
Yeah. Because it was a completely different entity. Because it was talking to him,
and that's what I mean. They
him.
went as far as to really split the personalities. It wasn't just Dr. Jekyll's kind of more negative aspects highlighted. They really went to the trouble of splitting it entirely.
Survival? Maybe it was survival. Maybe he didn't want to die, so he's like, "We can do it."
But then when he says "good job," he gives him like a thanks, man.
Yeah, he's like high as a kite. He's like, like hanging on for dear life, which did make sense because if you think about the angle of the boat,
none of this made sense.
And the levers that he pulls them standing up, which means normally the boat would be flat. Therefore, the levers are on the side, which open up the vents, which vented out all the water.
Yeah.
Are you trying to clarify scale and location?
I'm just trying to clarify his strength. like what? How strong are these guys that are on the boat? Because
because they are quite massive. Those handles as well. They're kind of made for him.
And like these guys on the boat, they're like, "Oh, Captain Nemo," and what do they just do that on a day off? Like,
so normally they'd be fine doing that. It just so happened to be underwater.
It's like fucked. Like what the fuck? Like that doesn't make any sense to me because there's just so.
Hey man, I don't know what to tell you.
It's so weird, so weird.
We're trying to find answers. We're trying to find answers in a movie that has no answers to give.
That's the best part.
This is where we ask our audience if you could write in and tell us what you think about this show.
Yeah, I'd love to know
about this movie.
This movie's kind of beaten us a little bit, I reckon.
You think so?
Because like, I honestly, at the end of this movie, I was kind of like, okay, I didn't like it, I didn't hate it. But I have no idea what the fuck is going on. Yeah. Like from a logistical standpoint, like,
and there was a vampire.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I remember a boat, a vampire. Don't remember anything about fucking Invisible Man getting a flamethrower.
And Sean Connery dies.
Yeah, but having said that, like I saw, I was watching all the stuff with M and Sean Connery, and like, maybe
you missed out for 1 second. It's one of the best bits.
Just drifted off.
That was so good because he was just like, and then lightning strikes is great.
Voodoo bit at the end.
I think they were opening it up to a sequel.
They were.
And
there was talk of a sequel. Of course, there was
a talk of a reboot, which was an all-female cast apparently.
Oh, cool. I heard that as well. Yeah, that was meant to be 2018.
To me, that's one of the more interesting parts of the movie, though. This kind of, I love that concept of like the idea of Africa won't let him die.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the most interesting parts of the whole movie, and they don't give two shits about it. Like, it's like none of the stuff that I give a fuck about this movie actually cares about.
No. Do you think that that someone watched this movie in the editing suite at the end and went, "Yeah, cool. We got a film.
We got another week till it's
released." Do you think there was legit talk of, well, fuck?
I think they pretty much put out whatever they had at the end. I think they were like, what can we get out of this?
Press for time.
But do you think
Norrington's
that someone
fucking drunk in a corner somewhere? He's not helping me with
shit.
Do
you think that anyone watched it from Woe to Go and went, yep?
The editor, but not in any kind of convincing way.
Well, I feel like he would have watched it in like sections, same way as it's filmed, because like obviously you can totally tell how much.
As an editor, but do you think that someone's watching the full thing?
No, I don't reckon.
I don't think anyone's watched the whole thing except me 10 times, but that doesn't count.
I tell you what, I don't. Yeah, you're probably not wrong. I don't think a lot of people make it through this movie.
No,
because it gets I don't remember shit.
Well,
It gets like that middle slog is hard work, and I think if you can get through that, there are some benefits to it for sure. I like the last showdown between Moriarty and Quatermain. I think it's all pretty cool.
That was cool. Tie-in.
I'm not really a biggest fan of like the reveal of like it's like a 3-way reveal. Reveal that the Phantom is actually M, and that M is actually Moriarty.
Yep. And
you know
Dorian
what I mean?
is also
Dorian is. So it's a 4-way reveal.
So it's a 4-way reveal.
In
too much.
Too much.
It's like when you get like an amazing present that you've always wanted, and then someone gives you another present that you've always wanted. You can't get any more excited.
That sounds a lot better than what we get.
That's a good plot for a movie.
I think it's too many presents.
Too many presidents. How many presidents can we get?
Jingle all the way.
Jingle all the way. Good times.
Yeah. How's the fucking ransom note on a record player thing?
That was interesting.
Well, the fact that Nemo says that, we have to go up to the surface because the solar panels have to kick in. I'm like, What year are we in?
Yeah, well, so that's
Nemo's ahead of his time.
Yeah, man. All this it's that kind of steampunk aesthetic. It's what I'm talking about. It's the Wild Wild West stuff.
It
where
is.
It's the technology
spider.
does exist, but they've taken it in this really different way that we are really comfortable with. But for them, is obviously like, really crazy technological advancements.
What I took out of this is that I would like a Quatermain movie, a Nemo movie, and I would like a buddy cop movie with both those two.
Right, so Captain Nemo and
They're the two best characters.
They
in the
didn't
movie.
even like each other, just like in the
I
beginning.
think they tolerated it. They didn't at the start, but they tolerated each other.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
what
nice.
Connery's doing. He doesn't trust anyone.
He doesn't. Yeah.
Well, I think he snuck a
darker
line
skin
in
than
there.
him. He's like, nah.
He's like, I don't know
Not
who you are,
interested.
dude.
No.
I think he
I've
snuck
seen
a line.
you flip around like a little
You're telling me you've got like an elephant in your room that you pray to? That's not cool.
Yeah.
I'm not up for
I don't
that.
know about you, man.
The
This ship
interaction
is-
between Mina and Dorian in this one scene where it's like, do you realize what you've done to me? You've let out of me? And Dorian Gray's like, what? A woman's wrath? I'm petrified. Like, I'm like, ooh.
That's a bit sus.
That's a bit sus.
Yeah.
That's shocking.
They're not really. I mean, they try, because she'd probably kill any of them
She's
quite
pretty
comfortably.
badass. I enjoyed her character, one of top 3 out of all of them. I
Yeah,
think.
she was pretty good.
Do you know, I watched the trailer and it looks really different from the way the movie ended up. Like it's all colorized differently.
Yeah.
It's kind of got this.
I thought you meant different as in like, it looked good.
There's like
It
scenes
looks
that are
better.
missing.
There are actually scenes that are missing in the trailer, little shots here and there.
I've heard
But
about
even the action sequences have this kind of like a little bit of a Schumacher-esque green and purple kind of neon tinge to stuff.
Okay,
Nice.
And I was like, man, that's definitely not in this final product. I'd dig a bit of that. That looked all right.
I have to watch trailers for
Apparently,
this
there's lots of deleted scenes, characters that were cut out entirely. Like,
Yeah.
got to this point. I reckon it really just got to this point where people were like, we just need to get this
Just get
thing
it
to a
out.
watchable length and put it out on the screen.
people get paid.
Yeah.
Sure. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Does anyone have anything else to say?
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
No, just I don't know. What was I going to
Did
say?
Stephen Norrington work after this film?
No, he's
because Sean packed
left,
it in.
He
I don't
left
think anyone
directing.
worked after this film.
Stuart Townsend tried.
Yeah,
He tried with Queen of the
Shane
Damned.
West tried.
Shane West.
He got a cushy gig on some TV show that's run for like 14 years.
Shane West can
I
go
say
suck
that-
it. Who is Shane West? Why do we know him from?
Shane West.
Walk to
Anything
Remember.
else?
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, Walk to Remember. Yeah,
right.
yeah. My girlfriend actually pointed that out. She was like, "Oh, he's on one of my favorite movies." I was
Walk to
like,
Remember?
"I've only ever seen him in this movie.
Sure.
He's forever immortalized in my mind at this age."
At this?
and then I saw a picture of him recently. I was like, "Holy shit, he's
He's
old.
in something I don't mind.
He's old, bro.
What does he look like now?
Very, very
Does he
old.
really?
He has short hair. I preferred him young Sawyer.
Oh, he looks okay now.
Young Sawyer. Can I just say, on a side note, though, I felt like this movie made it okay for me to watch Van Helsing. And I have to say, on a side note, that werewolf, like Hugh Jackman's werewolf, is the best werewolf I've ever seen in any film.
Yes.
I've got to say, it hasn't been topped.
I think I've said that before.
Really?
I think it's one
It's
of the
pretty good.
It's one of
I
the
remember it being
most
really good.
amazing. It's great.
Oh dear.
If you look it up, it
fucking
looks
Prisoner of Azkaban's Greyhound.
holy shit. Yeah, it's amazing.
yeah,
so
it
I
is.
feel
I've
like
heard it's pretty
Yeah,
good.
I don't know. I felt
because
like
it's quite big as well.
he's like
it's
just
bigger
this
than
buff,
normal.
and his ears are like super tall, and he looks
Yeah.
like an actual wolf. And I was like, what a badass.
Yeah.
So I think
Let's
that's what
watch Van Helsing again as well. I'm just going to go back.
I'm going to have to double check that because I don't recall that being the case at
You
all.
remember that?
I remember fucking werewolf.
only Hugh
remember a
Jackman's
werewolf?
one. His black werewolf. That
Okay.
was lit.
Okay.
All right.
Lit.
I think
Get with the young
League of
ones.
Extraordinary Gentlemen or Van Helsing, better movie.
Van Helsing.
I need to see Van Helsing again. I'm going to watch Van Helsing.
I'm going to say League of Extraordinary
You're
Gentlemen.
going to say League?
Yeah.
Well, you would.
I'm torn. I said Van Helsing, but I'm pretty torn now. Actually, now that you
See?
mention it, I'm torn because they're totally different, but they're the same. It's like watching twins.
They have very similar problems.
They look the same, but one's your
I
favorite.
don't know. Who are you taking? Hugh Jackman or Sean Connery?
I'd take Hugh Jackman over Sean Connery, but I just think League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is a slightly better movie than Van Helsing.
I need to see it again. I remember nothing apart from the werewolf.
The werewolf was so badass. But that had Dracula in it. That's why I was curious. Was he part of the same universe? Because if you really think about it, this was one of the first films that started the multiverse, like cinematic universe. if
Yeah,
you
man.
think about
Crossovers.
Yeah.
It
yeah,
started
that's
the
true.
first crossover, man, and I think they picked what
the
didn't
first
work.
Well, you know,
crossover, really?
Abbott
One
and
of the-
Costello versus Frankenstein meets Frankenstein.
True.
First ever crossover
Before my-
event.
Before my time.
Garfield, Scooby Doo,
Oh yeah.
All the
yeah.
Cartoon Network movies.
Cartoon Network.
Cartoon Network was good. Nickelodeon.
Isn't there like a Power Rangers meets
All of them.
Ninja Turtles or something?
Oh shit! Yeah,
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh man. I'm pretty sure Hasbro owns Power Rangers now.
I think they do.
Does that mean we're going to get a new Power Rangers movie?
Well, they're rebooting Transformers.
We already got a Power Rangers movie. I didn't mind that movie. That was all right.
No,
you said
that's not part of it anymore. Let's forget about that.
I
enjoyed it.
Really?
But then when they were like, we own the rights now.
We're going to forget about it. We're going to do another one. We're going to do a Sony Spider-Man thing.
Hey, now's my chance, man. I can finally be the Black Ranger. Goals.
He's in.
Goals.
All right.
Black Ranger.
I like it.
All right, well, we're going to wrap up this discussion on League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I think that's it, ladies and gentlemen. If you've got anything you'd like to add, by all means,
please do add.
Find us on social media. This movie broke us a little bit, I think.
No, I like it.
Can we get a rating, though? I'd like to hear your rating out of 10.
Out of 10? I think mine was do you want to hear it?
Yeah.
I think mine was a 4.
Nice.
I gave it a 5 out of 10.
Oh, that's generous. I gave it a 7.
A 7? But you have a very different look at it from me and Tys.
True.
You came like it was a childhood movie for you.
Yeah.
You're a big fan of CGI.
It's true.
Whereas me and Tys, we were at the video store at this point, and were you still at the video store?
Yep.
I think I was just about to leave when this came out.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
And
VHS.
no, it was it was all DVDs.
Oh, it was DVD that time.
they kicked in and they were taking over DVD wall.
Video
and
easy.
yeah.
I definitely bought this on DVD when it came out.
Jeez,
I own it still.
You own that.
I had the Fox special edition 2
Do
disc.
you want it? I'll gift it to you.
2 discs.
You can have it
You
forever.
have 2 discs of this sucker.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
I would watch that. There's
Does
got
that
to be
have
some
behind the
special features in
Yeah,
there.
well, I don't know where it is. It's not at my house at the moment.
Holy
'cause
shit!
it's
When
in
you had
boxes
to like
somewhere.
switch the CD like midway, it was like
There's only a few DVDs you had to do that for.
yeah,
It's true.
it was a nightmare.
It's true.
Goes to shit.
All right. Let's
Our special segment that we save for our guests.
That's true.
Here we
Now,
go.
Nicholas, this requires a little bit of prepreparation.
That's true.
Now, you're going to have to send me.
Oh, am I? I'm going to add one just because.
Cool.
Now, are any of the send it to me on Messenger.
We'll do.
We do have a song that goes with this, and it's our favourite segment.
I forget it.
What do you mean you forget it? Well, the segment is called Grilling the Guest. Dun, dun, dun. Of course, after Simply the Best.
Grilling the Guest.
Which is when we ask the guest a series of would you rather style questions.
Oh, I like that.
Now, we're going to ask them in
Let's
quick
go.
succession,
Sure.
and you just have to throw the answer off the top of your head.
okay.
Now. We're going to give you no time to think about it. There are how many questions, Nicholas? About
there's
12?
About 12, yeah, sure. Let's go.
And you've added a new one in, and is there anything that we're going to...
Oh, I like that sound. I've added one more. If you could just look at that bottom one, because
yeah, cool.
Yeah, do you like
Nice.
okay, cool.
Cool. So where are you ready to go, Rez?
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire. You
rapid
can't think
fire.
about it, man. You just got to go.
All right.
Are you
starting?
ready? I don't mind. Do you want me to start or you want to start?
You start.
All right, I will start.
Here we
And
go.
3, 2, 1. Scorsese or Spielberg?
Scorsese,
Alien or Predator?
Predator,
Stallone or Schwarzenegger?
Schwarzenegger,
Lion King or Beauty and the Beast?
Lion King,
Judi Dench or Helen Mirren?
Judi Dench,
Burton's Batman or Donna's Superman?
Donna's Superman. I don't even know these.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Ooh, Star Trek.
Oh, Replicant or non-replicant? Have you seen Blade Runner?
No.
Okay.
Good. You have no
Skip.
thoughts. Here we go. Gene Kelly or Fred Astaire?
Don't know either.
Don't know either. I'm
wild.
loving this.
This is wild.
Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, or Michael Myers?
Ooh, Freddy Krueger.
Pacino or De Niro?
De Niro.
The Labyrinth or the Dark Crystal?
I've only seen The Labyrinth.
We'll go with that.
DC or Marvel?
Marvel.
Team Cap or Team Iron Man?
Team Captain America.
Bill Pullman or Bill Paxton?
I know Bill Paxton.
Awesome. And the last one, Bruce Lee or Jackie Chan?
Oh, Jackie Chan, because he's still around.
Oh, that was one of the interesting ones we've ever done. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well
all right.
done,
A bit
Rez.
of...
Yeah.
Grilling the Guest.
I just had to throw in some bass.
I like it.
I feel like you guys were missing that.
Anything we need to check up on? All right, so you've got some homework. Did you when you said Donna's Superman?
He didn't know what Donna's Superman
were you
was.
like,
No idea.
Is that someone called Donna Superman?
Yeah, I was
First
like,
name Donna, last name
I was like,
Superman.
I had no idea that there was a Superman named Donna. So I just went with it.
So what that was Tim Burton's Batman.
Right.
Or Richard Donner's Superman. So Richard Donner is the director of the 78 Superman with Christopher Reeve.
Oh, perfect. Then that's what I grew up watching.
Oh,
there you go.
that's okay.
That's fine.
That would have been the answer.
But
like
I think I kind of bunked one of my answers when I said Star Trek. I I've known more about Star Wars.
Sure.
So I'm a bigger fan of Star Wars in that way.
Okay.
But same as League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Star Trek was a big part of my childhood. With Captain Jane and Captain Pritchard, which is actually on Amazon Prime, I think, at the moment.
Nice.
Which one's that?
So Voyager and...
Captain Janeway.
Janeway's Voyager.
And something with the D. Am I wrong?
Discovery?
Maybe Discovery. No, it wasn't Discovery.
Idea.
The one
Deep
with
Space Nine.
Pritchard, Captain Pritchard.
You don't mean Picard?
Picard?
Yeah, I'm saying it wrong.
That's
saying it wrong.
Next Generation.
That's Next Gen.
That's it.
Yeah.
Next Generation.
Deep
That's all
Space
I know
Nine
it for.
is the one where they're just on like a
Space Station.
yeah. It's like a legit kind of.
Well, Picard is
Battlestar
actually
Galactica
on
style.
Amazon Prime now
It
as its
is.
own continuation series. So I've definitely got to check that out.
Yeah, I've heard it's really
Nice.
good. You obviously had very strong thoughts about the Judi Dench or Helen Mirren question. I think we all do.
I only know Judi Dench. I don't know.
I always
You're
thought.
missing out, man.
Yeah, they're both dames of some description, I believe.
They are.
Which,
They are indeed.
What dames? Like what team did I vote for?
Dames.
Yeah, like what are they dames of?
They're like sirs and dames.
Yeah.
Oh no, I know, but like why are they opposite each other? What's
Oh, they just... I think they're... Because they're very amazing. Both English.
right?
They're just like
Actresses
the
who are
best,
just insane.
coolest old lady actresses
Oh,
floating
cool.
around
Yeah,
at the moment.
Judi Dench, I think.
They
Because
smash
Judi
it.
Dench,
Yeah.
I've watched quite a few
That's
films
true.
of. What was the other one? What was the one that I?
What was the other one you bombed out?
I think it was Fred Astaire,
Oh,
Gene Kelly.
Yeah, what the hell? I know Gene,
Gene Kelly?
but I don't know what their differences were.
Fred Astaire, Tys.
Well, these were the pioneers of the American musical. These are the guys that were the song and dance men of the 30s, 40s, 50s.
They could do it all. Tap, sing.
Wow.
Yeah,
act.
but they had very distinctive dancing styles, which
That's
found them
true.
very
Wait, is
interesting.
Gene Kelly singing in the rain?
Yeah, that's it, man.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is fun.
I love this shit.
This is what we do. You're going to bring some of this information to the generation below us.
Yes.
Exactly.
What do they call you?
I'm a Y Gen Y.
He's
No.
the last of the Gen Y.
I am.
So that's
the very last.
So what are we
Very
though?
last.
We're the last.
We're
of,
the start.
Ah.
Well, a lot of people say, I don't like getting into this discussion because a lot of people say that our generation, Tyson, because we were the ones that went from the birth of the internet to renting movies to
That was your phase.
seeing social media kick off
Yeah.
and all of that stuff, that we've got our own little section, which is Gen XY or whatever. But
Yeah.
I hate this discussion because there's no one that really actually knows
We can-
because you can't actually,
Yeah.
We can
bookend
just
this thing.
all agree that boomers suck.
Yeah. Well, when you have like
We
a
all come
Filipino
together for that.
Boomer, tell me off
Filipino
today.
parents, just mind you, as a little nice fact for
Yeah.
your podcast here.
Yeah.
But they love the oldies. So I grew up listening to pretty much like 60s to 80s music, 60s to 80s everything.
That's amazing.
Even
Oldies.
till now.
Oldies, Tice.
For you guys, it's like just your generation.
That's it.
Literally what I
I
love.
still think
oldies.
that stuff's on the charts, man. I hear Eye of the Tiger, and I'm
Well,
like,
how weird is
oh,
80s?
is it charting
Yeah.
again? Yeah,
80s is like 40 years ago.
Yeah.
How weird is
yeah.
that?
No, we know.
Jesus
We're well aware.
Christ.
Super weird. Is it weird? I feel like the
Super weird.
listeners
It's
out
not,
there
it's
are
not
like,
weird. It's not weird at all. It's not. It's not. I'm very
It's
much
totally
a child,
fine,
and
you,
it's fine.
and
Yeah.
40 is the new 30.
Exactly. And I saw Jurassic Park at the cinema probably yesterday. You know.
Yeah,
It's fine.
wow.
exactly.
It's fine.
wow, this is awesome.
RHYSS LEE.
Yeah. Now you're
It was a
seeing
pleasure
the
having you
extent
on,
of
mate.
our
You're a
downfall.
champion.
Likewise. This is really fun. Thanks for having me on,
No,
guys.
thanks, man. Should we? No, that's it. Well,
No, I think that's it.
because we didn't watch anything. I didn't watch anything.
No, I didn't watch anything.
So we'll forego our what did you watch this week?
yeah.
And we're just gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
What
Where
did
if
you
you want
watch
to
this
see what we're watching next week, we'll jump on the socials.
I've got some ideas, Nicholas.
Oh,
I'll
I
talk
like
to you when I
that.
turn off the microphones.
I like it.
But yes, Reese. Before we go, man, do you want to?
Sure.
Have you got anything you want to plug? You want
Are
to?
you doing anything?
So I will plug my Instagram because that's what I will use when I'm off
Nice.
this fast. But it's at RHYSS LEE. So it's RHYSS. Make sure you get that double S. So RHYSS LEAM. That's my Instagram. And that's pretty much my handle for a lot of my social media stuff across like Twitter and Facebook and all that. What would I like to share? I don't know. I'm an actor model. So I'm
cool.
hoping to get into...
So what
the
kind of
acting
stuff are
industry.
people going to find on your Instagram and stuff like that?
Yeah, so you'll find a lot of recently a lot of my model shots because I am trying to build that
all
portfolio. But I'm also
Badass stuff. I've seen it, man. It's pretty badass.
just mainly that stuff. I do have an IMDb with a few credits if you want to check that out. I have my own website as well, which basically explains everything that I do,
Cool.
which is www.rhyssliamlee.com. And hoping to be in some more films and stuff in the future. But yeah, thank you guys for having me on.
No, man, thanks for coming. We absolutely appreciate it. It's been a barrel of laughs.
It's been hilarious.
It really has been.
It.
It's good.
Well, that's going to wrap us, Nick.
That's it, Tys.
Good to see you again, man.
I'll see you next week, bud.
Yeah, see you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, Reese.
Bye. Bye, Reese. Bye. I'm still here. Bye.